In the previous episode, we became qualified to challenge the Reborn Elite Four to become the champion of the region. All that stands in our way is one final test, a staple of Pokemon games. We'll get to that in a minute. It's time to finish a side quest. Make your way north along this path from the Labradora Tournament Hall, and you'll encounter this former acolyte. She says she has quit her service to Meteor and the cult of Arceus. Why would Arceus turn against them so if they were doing the right thing? Beside her sits a Sylveon. Despite the fact you may have been enemies, the Sylveon lets you pet it, and the quest is done. All evolutions have been petted. That means it's time to return to Spinal Town, to the lady that first gave you that quest. In this case, 12 episodes ago. She is beyond ecstatic to see that we've achieved the goal she set out for us, and rewards us with another, in fact the last, of the pivotal held items. The Choice Scarf. Quite possibly the most important item to get you out of the horrible situations that will soon follow. With this, fly back to the Victory Road fly point, which deposits you in front of this center. Inside, you'll find a generic shop with all the standard healing fare, but you'll also meet this guy, Azur. He has a job offer for you. The job he does is spirit hunting. I guess in a world of Pokemon, anything goes. He explains that in Victory Road, there are what he would call spirits, or after images of former champions, generated in this case, he surmises, by the crystals that litter Victory Road. But while he normally handles this on his own, the task of removing these spirits of former champions is beyond his ability. That's where we come in. He has stabilized the spirits. Now all we have to do is subdue them by battling them. Of course it's battling. Saphira was right. To this end, he then gives us the Spirit Tracker, which will both inform us when we enter a room in Victory Road with a spirit in it, and will tell us how many we have defeated. He ends by saying there are 25 spirits throughout the dungeon, and that they will warp the environment they stand in. Yeah, get ready for that. He adds on the way out that he will obviously reward us for our efforts, to the tune of new items for every 5 spirits defeated. We'll come back periodically to see him at those thresholds. It's time. Step out of the Pokemon Center, walk up the stairs, and enter the cave ringed with the 4 gems. Welcome to Victory Road. A sprawling cave system replete with machinery now extends before you. You're about to embark on the longest dungeon in the game, one that makes the Tourmaline Desert seem quick. Throughout this adventure within an adventure, you will be joined by another excellent remix from Glitch City, chosen by Ame to be the perfect theme for Victory Road. Mystery Dungeon Hidden Highland. This is an expertly chosen track simply for the fact, or more like my own gut feeling, that you will spend more time in this dungeon than you would on an entire playthrough of Gen 1. This dungeon takes the feeling you had about Victory Road as a kid, how it was so huge and complicated, and balloons that out to truly enormous proportions. However, there's actually one reason you'll hear this track an unbelievable amount. Well, technically there are 4 reasons. We'll get to that. That's why this track is perfect for this place. It is going to loop many, many, many times. However, you will never grow tired of it. Ambient, but memorable. You'll quickly see stepping forward a room that seems strangely familiar. A Victory Road with large gears. You'll also discover this place has very powerful and unusual Pokemon. For instance, Alakazam. Very early on, I also found this shiny Luxray and shiny Bisharp. Step through the next doorway, and your body will suddenly gleam and a sound will emit. That is a notification that one of the spirits is in this room. That sound will play until all of the spirits of a room are defeated. Yes, There can be multiple spirits in one room, so make sure to re-enter rooms to know if the spirits are all exorcised. Trying to go north in this first room leads you to a closed gate connected to a wire. You'll head up the hill following that wire and find a strength boulder and pressure plates, reminiscent of Gen 1 Victory Road again. Nearby is an old map that will begin panning the camera around the room to give you a quick glimpse of what lies beyond. Oh fuck, that's a strength puzzle. Fuck you, Fern. Fuck you, Fern! Barely moving backwards at the call of someone's voice, an icicle crashes down from above and misses us. The screen pans again to show the villains we just saw. The remainder of Team Meteor, minus Lynn. Blake, Fern, and Sirius, still holding Aya hostage. However, there is anything but camaraderie between these remaining agents. After bickering among themselves, Blake then calls out to us that who we face so far are all weaklings compared to them, with Fern calling even those victories flukes. He tries to goad us into going up there to shut him up rhetorically, before explaining how they are up on that pillar with no way to reach them, thanks to Lynn's plan. With no way to assail their position, that leaves Blake free to command his Sandslash to rain down more icicles. But Saphira has other ideas. Florinia's reversal of the deletion is coming to fruition, as the strongest gym leader gets ready to tear apart the fuckers on the pillar. After they complain about Terra's incompetence, Sirius drags Aya away to let Blake handle it. When Blake gives Fern shit when he doesn't want to help, the green-haired douchebag gets in the face of the blue-haired one. All Fern is interested in is talking shit about me, and leaves Blake as well. Fuck you, Fern. There's a lot of those still coming in this episode. Now Blake gets ready to continue showering us with ice, but Saphira tells us to find a way around and she'll draw his attention. She goes on to mention that Florinia is working on releasing the others who should be on their way, and also says, "Thank you for stopping Terra. You're welcome. I was gonna do that regardless." She rushes Blake as we head back down the stairs and through that gate we saw earlier, open thanks to the pressure plates. In the next room, you'll gleam again, and as soon as you walk to the left, you'll come upon the first of the spirits. We'll need to work around the room to reach her, so let's walk up the stairs to... 1 second, you infernal machine. Head around the outside of the room to meet the spirit woman waiting. Save your game and prepare your team, then speak to her. She and most of the spirits will speak lines you might hear from other Pokemon games, and then the battle begins. And here's where I remembered that these fights aren't all on Crystal Cavern Field. Yeah, that's Holyfield, the first time we've seen it since episode 11. Along with that, this spirit, Diana, has a full team of 6, so we need to talk about these spirits. First, there's one advantage you have over them. All of their Pokemon are going to be level 95, and don't have any illegal bullshit going on. However, the field effect they get to be on is almost always different per spirit, and they always have 6 Pokemon. In essence, each of these could reasonably be considered a major battle, meaning I would go over my attempts at them like I always do. But keep in mind, there are 25 of these fucking people in this place! It was destiny that this episode would be the longest in the series. I knew it would be. For that reason, I cannot possibly go over these fights in detail. I'm not turning a 4-hour video into an 8-hour video. I will still create the UI for each fight so that you know what teams and fields each one had, and I will give a brief synopsis of each one and my particular pain points. Most of the time in these spirit fights, my first attempt is garbage since I don't know what they're going to start with, nor will I know what field effect it will be. In this case, Diana starts with a washing machine against Aerodactyl on Holyfield. No, that's not a solution for Clue. The Rotom is damn annoying to deal with first, killing most anything I put in front of it. Eventually, when I choice spec'd it with Freeze Dry, that attempt let me crunch Alakazam easily. But then when my Houndoom goes out against Scizor, the killing field's change to normal types lets the bug kill with 1 quick attack. However, after that, I dismantle each of her other Pokemon, thankfully getting by her Weavile with Aerodactyl. When you defeat a spirit and they give a usually uplifting parting message, they will disappear, and your team will be fully healed. That's really nice. It makes these opponents a mostly fun exploration of field effects while not being soul-crushing. But speaking of soul-crushing, may I introduce the worst puzzle in the game. Reason 1 for why Victory Road is going to take you over 12 hours. The Gemstone Logic Puzzle. For an explanation of what's happening here, we can refer to our latest friend to be released from Labradora, Cal. He essentially determines that there are conditions that each section of the puzzle needs to be set to in order to unlock the way forward. We will get a list of hints that tells us what descriptions each of the 4 cardinal gems have, and we have to push the blocks on the floor to match the appropriate description. You've probably seen logic puzzles like this before. The ones that are a grid with names and some kind of thing that each name belongs to. The problem is that usually you don't have to solve multiple of them at once. In our case, we have to solve 3 grids, each with the 4 gems, assigning the correct value in each category to each gem. You do so being given only this page of clues. Yeah, print screen and paste that in Paint. You don't want to be asking Cal over and over what the clues are. The first clue is pretty important. Every gem will have a unique value of each property. That means each grid will only have 1 gem per row and column when solved. The 3 categories in this puzzle are size, hardness, and purity. After the first clue, the next one is a direct instruction. The hardness of Ruby is 7. We head over to the center grid marked hardness, and from there we can find the number 7 in the 3rd column. Push Ruby over to that column, and congratulations, just 11 more to go. There's only 1 more direct instruction. Hint 4. Amethyst purity is middling. From there though, we have to solve the rest of the puzzle using relative instructions. For instance, hint 3 says Ruby is larger than Amethyst, but it is not the largest. This does not tell us what is the largest gem, but it does tell us 2 that are not largest. That means that Ruby and Amethyst do not belong in the rightmost column, and Amethyst must always be left of Ruby. But besides that, you don't know if Amethyst is minuscule or small, or if Ruby is small or medium. That's where the rest of the hints come in. You must use all of the hints together at once to create more exclusions on each grid, such that there can only be 1 spot each gem can reside in. Sometimes those exclusions come easily, such as on the purity grid. Hint 6. Emerald is less pure than Ruby, but more pure than Sapphire. This means that, of those 3 gems, Sapphire is the least pure, Emerald more pure, and Ruby the purest. Amethyst is already in the middling column. This means that there is no logical place for Sapphire to be except an impure, and therefore, Emerald is pure, and Ruby is flawless. That's 1 grid completed. Because of this, hint 5, the pure gem is medium-sized, is now known. Emerald is medium. Amethyst must be smaller than Ruby, but Ruby must not be the largest, leaving Sapphire to be the biggest. This also jives with hint 9. The largest gem is the least pure. All that leaves is the hardness grid. And here's where simple mistakes can make this puzzle into a nightmare. A gem with lower hardness is softer, but I got that turned around. I thought the higher number was softer, so I pushed Amethyst to 8 to correspond to hint 7. The smallest gem is also the softest. But when I talked to Cal to solve the puzzle, he tells me nope, try again. I ended up screwing with the first grid unnecessarily before realizing I was dumb about the hardness. I put Amethyst into spot 5, then looked at hint 8. Sapphire's hardness is less than Emerald's hardness. Those are all the hints, but when I failed to solve again, Cal then points out that hint specifically, getting me to realize that Sapphire can't be in the 8 column. Since we know that Ruby and Amethyst are in the right places, then we know that Emerald and Sapphire just need to trade places, Emerald now being the hardest gem. And with that, when we check with Cal again, the gate onwards opens. Cal compliments our work as he says he has to go on and stop Blake, believing it to be his responsibility, and leaves. Now, we need to address the silver elephant in the room. Well, it's not in the room anymore. It left when I solved the puzzle. That's why I didn't save any time during that puzzle. I reset to force the puzzle to be unsolved again, and the silver shard is back. So here's the long and the short of it. The 4 reasons that Victory Road takes you 12 hours is because there are 4 of these horrible logic puzzles in it. They are the worst puzzles in the game. For one reason. They're required. With an asterisk on that, but we'll talk about that later. This isn't like the double magic square. Even if that thing is so heinous, it's technically optional. These ones block you from the end of the game. The answers you want. You suffer them for literal hours, just so you can learn what's really going on in this game. Not this time, for me. For the first and probably only time in this series, I'm using the silver shard. There are 2 reasons for me to do that. First, time. I'm not translating hours of logic problem solving into the video and adding another 2 hours of runtime. Second, and more palpably, there's no point. From a walkthrough perspective, there's little reason for me to tell you how to do logic better. I can't teach you how to understand logic in a way that's demonstrably different than just telling you the answers. Maybe you disagree. I assume some will, and I'll take this L. But we have much better things to do this episode than to get bogged down in me saying the words ruby, emerald, sapphire, amethyst, hardness, purity, size 40,000 more times. When we come up to the later logic puzzles, I'll give slight extra bits of information about them, show the hints, then the solution, in case you do actually use my video as a walkthrough guide. As a last thing, Big JRA's guide goes over all these puzzles, with tools, hints, and visuals to help you in case you don't want to just get the answer directly. I figure it's not worth trying to replicate the solution badly, or worse, make it seem like I just plagiarized what he already wrote. Okay, enough meta details. Let's get back to real action. Be warned when walking into the next room, Blake is still there and will be bombarding you with icicles often. You want to stand pretty clear of the crosshairs that appear on the floor. Even being in the outer ring will get you hit and take a chunk out of all of your Pokemon's HP. What you want to do is climb these stairs first, and you'll come upon the second spirit. Let's engage him and see what— Oh, fuck no! Oh, fuck no! Big Top doubles? Yeah, if you didn't understand why they were called killing fields before, you're going to be learning pretty quickly. My first attempt got pretty far thanks to making Chandelure flinch in the first round with Rock Slide. But then, thanks to bullshit like Mach Punch from a Conkeldurr who is always going to hit massive multipliers thanks to Big Top's striker mechanic, I fell short right at the end. I was then subject to a series of aggravating RNG failures when I couldn't hit both opponents with Rock Slide for a while. Literally 5 attempts in a row. Finally, after annoyingly not killing the Togekiss, I was given the chance to beat up the Conkeldurr and get rid of it, then chop down the rest of his team. I feel obliged to say, fuck Big Top. Oh, by the way, don't start writing notes after winning against him, otherwise Blake's going to drop a fucking icicle on your head. Now you'll start moving forward into actual puzzles ahead, and the theme of Victory Road will show itself finally. Minecarts. There are going to be a shit ton of minecart puzzles this episode. We begin with a tutorial level, though made nerve-wracking by the constant barrage of ice from the peanut gallery. A minecart loaded with rocks sits on the tracks, 2 rail switches nearby. You can only walk over tracks where the pattern with 4 little diamonds is. You move the cart the entire length of rail it can move when you click on it. After clicking on this one once, you can then switch the path of the rail with the lever. Keep in mind that a cart has to reach a valid end cap. If it bonks into track that's turned incorrectly, it will return to where it started. You'll need to flip both levers to make the cart reach the left side. When it does, the rocks that are in the cart will spill out, forming a new rock wall, which conveniently connects back to the start of the dungeon. Flip the left lever again, then click on the empty cart to get in and go to the south. Go through the southern cave to take shelter from Blake. You can click on another map here to see the next room, but honestly this panning around never really helped me solve the puzzles. Get into the cart to go north and into the pits. Just as you start to get the feeling you're going to be doing some strength puzzles, someone calls out with that familiar Wrecking Ball nickname. Charlotte has arrived, and she says that there's a plan to unseat the Meteor agents on their pillar throne. She says how their pillar is pretty much invincible since they collapsed all routes going up to it, except for one weakness. The pillar's base is pretty thin, and there are plenty of explosives down here. She says she'll start making the preparations for the explosives while we find a way to reach her. There isn't much to do at first. You only have one move besides going back, getting in this cart. Hit the switch, get back in. Get in this other cart, then flip that lever and get back in. You'll find a lever for the previous track. Hit it, then work backwards through the latest track. This takes you up to the right, and only one move is presented again. Take it, then get out and go up this rock climb and to the left, where Spirit 3 waits. She plays on Rainbow Field, one of the few times it appears without forming it through weather. Even with a terrible start using Aerodactyl against her Politoed, I end up scraping through the first attempt, blotting out the rainbow with hail halfway through and fortunately killing a cursing Lapras before it got too dug in. It's always shitty when a Destiny Bond fails because the opponent misses something like Thunder. Plus, I got lucky at the end to kill a Moongus with hail when Vanillix inevitably fell asleep to it. Back to the puzzle. A pressure plate gate bars our way to the lever for a rail car we used last, so take the cart beneath it. This puts us on the right side of one strength boulder, which we can easily push over to the pressure plates. Let me interject to save your game when dealing with strength boulder pushing. You really don't want to have to leave the whole room because you cornered it. Also remember that boulders can climb stairs. Use the gaps in the rails to get the boulder around the crystal outcropping and reach the plates. Flip the switch to then take the remaining minecart to another lever for an earlier track. Return this cart and flip the switch behind the gate again, then get to that cart you just changed the track for. This brings you up to the original strength boulder we saw when Charlotte showed up. All you can do with this boulder is push it up 2 tiles to prepare it for later. You'll have to return the way you came to do anything with it. Before you do though, head left and you'll spy a prize on top of the hill. Weave around to get to the top and obtain Tyranitarite. Undo the higher switch using the lower one, then undo that one again to head back. You'll need to work in reverse some more, but it's pretty straightforward. That gets you here, where you can move the boulder left for a while, then up once you're able, and back right to open another gate. Hit one more switch and jump back in that first cart to reach the end. Be aware as you step into this room that this is the room with Blake overhead, who will resume his barrage. You'll be put under some pressure to move strength boulders around while being bombarded. You don't need to use these for anything, so push them into the nooks that are most out of your way. But then comes this disaster. Yeah, it's like the Bixbysian strength puzzle but with stress. Okay, this is actually not nearly as bad as it looks. Start obviously by pushing this boulder down. Then push boulders to the left until you're above the one next to the big crystal. Push it down, then move right to push another, then go into the open crook below to push another also right. Shove the boulder below you down 2 spaces and then the one on the right all the way to the wall. That lets you get that item, which is an escape rope. Gee, thanks for the vote of confidence. Going up the rock wall is pointless now, so go southwest to push this boulder onto the pressure plate. Push the boulder in front of that gate to the left, then run down the left corridor in the next section. This lets you move another rock onto another plate to open a gate to the right. It may seem like it leads nowhere, but it allows you to get behind that gear and get that stone out of the way to access the minecarts. Take it to be in this small enclosure next to a lever, which opens the gate to the left, as well as switch tracks where you just came from. There's the cave on to the south, but a rock climb wall waits on the right. Following it leads to spirit number 4. His battle takes place on Swamp Field, and I had a lot of close calls on this first try win, managing to kill Aegislash with one heat wave, wiping out a Conkeldurr with Hydro Vortex, surviving a hurricane and avoiding confusion to Destiny Bond Noivern, and being able to brute force down the Mega Swampert after it beat Vanillix. Now book it for the cave to the south away from Blake's bullshit. You'll be up on the ledge where Charlotte was, and as you make your way into the next cave ahead, you'll find the youngest Belrose waiting. She tells you she's prepared 4 minecarts with bombs to send towards the pillar. All we have to do is get them to move into it. You're going to find an obvious way down to the upcoming rail puzzles, but there are a lot of extras in this room. First up this rocky surface and a couple others, you'll encounter something in your way I haven't talked about basically since I introduced them. A mining rock. Yeah, I guess I might as well come clean and say that I've barely done these since then, because the fact I'm not using items in battle means that max revives are pretty unimportant. So anyway, I just chopped through the mining rock once, then used blast powder to do it again. Really? I had no intention of resetting for anything specific, but it just happened to give me a max revive anyway. I mean, I won't complain. With it removed, climb up again and keep heading further up into the cavern. Descend here and find a very good item. Another PP All. Retrace your steps here and go to the left now. You'll overlook the progression intersection, while also spotting Spirit 5. Head up to him and begin a fight on... Damn it! Now it's chessboard. Having an upfront Aerodactyl against Alakazam means little when it has Sturdy by being a pawn. In this battle, my first Pokemon, Houndoom, reaches level 100, and soon the rest will follow suit. Everything was going fine in this battle, including using a King Galvantula to take out a Bishop Honchkrow, out-prioritizing its Sucker Punch, only to then get shit-stomped by a Garchomp Queen. Next time Galvantula meets Honchkrow, I abuse its abusive Sucker Punch to put down a free Sticky Web. However, that speed stage loss does not make the Garchomp slower than my Houndoom, and I think it's all over until Greninja comes out as a Knight, meaning his attacks will do triple to the Queen Chomp and outspeeds. Hydro Vortex unseats the Queen, and this fight is done. Go back to the beginning of this section now, then head up past this sign to this rock climb. Follow the single path along until you reach another spirit. When you begin this battle, you may notice this is the third fight in a row that starts against a Politoed. Come on, I want Aerodactyl up front! What's even worse is that he's underwater this time, so he's really screwed. This fight really messed me up, as his team is mostly water typed and hit damn hard. What's horrible is that he has a Salamence who pops a seed to become water type, bypassing the speed reduction and basically mauling me. With great fortune, he got done using an Outrage and became confused for a long time. When Galvantula came out, though it was faster, Salamence hit itself, and after thunderbolting it and barely surviving a Tentacruel's attack, Galvantula delivered me a win on its dying breath. Climb back down these cliffs and then up these ones. At this junction, head left and slide down this wall to come upon the final specific Z crystal, Commonium Z. Back up the wall and heading this way, you'll find yet another spirit in this room. Once again, you'll fight on the chromatic field effect against yet another washing machine. Vanillux hails the rainbow away again, but a Dragonite and Starmie quickly trash my team. I managed to beat both of them with Aerodactyl on the next attempt, but Honchkrow is standing there next. Incredibly, my fossil hangs on by his last nail from its Sucker Punch and rock slides the bird to win. At this point, there's nothing left to find in this room, so we have to get back to puzzle solving. Go back to where the sign was and head northeast to this crossroads of 4 minecarts. It doesn't matter which one you take first, so I start with the left one. Each of these carts will lead you to 2 puzzles. The first part is always one where Blake is shelling you, so stay on the move. The one I dropped into first is a standard strength puzzle. Push the boulder from the right side of the rocks around to the bottom where the panel is. You'll quickly find that you can't bring the rock down from above the plate, so instead, push the rock all the way around the top of the debris to the very left, dodging icicles. You want to slide the boulder between these 2 large wing-shaped crystals towards the bottom, then take it over to the pressure plates. A gate opens south of you, and you can ride another car into the lower pit. The second part of each crossroads puzzle is more involved, thankfully without Blake around. Here, you'll find the bomb cart ready to roll. Flip this switch to get the initial track ready, move the cart, then flip the switch back. Go down here to another lever and throw it to move the car to this end cap. When you flip that second lever, it also opened a gate. You need to throw the lever to fix the track to move the bomb again, but before doing so, go through that gate into the little cubby to hit this switch first. Go back out, throw the previous lever, move the cart, throw that lever again. Once again, before throwing the lever in that box, go to the open gate up above and toggle that switch first. Then correct the track ahead of the TNT cart and send it on. Reopen the gate with the lower switch to access the upper switch, but only move it once you've also moved this switch behind the gate to the left. Another iteration of this, along with hitting the earlier switch, will let the minecart out of this first circle. Head up and then down and counterclockwise to meet up with the cart again here. Flip the lever right next to it and send it on. Run all the way around clockwise to get next to it again, and flip this other switch. Give the cart one more good shove, and it will crash right into the pillar nearby and explode. One down. Climb down a nearby rock wall and head up to return to the crossroads. I take the north path this time. Part 1 puts you right under Blake and his stupid face. 2 boulders need to meet 2 pressure plates. Starting with the bottom one, shove it left and up, then go around to be on its right side to depress one switch. For the other, push it down one square, then left a couple. Push it up and left, avoiding cornering it, and then move it directly to the right of the other plate. Again from its right, shove it onto the plate and open the gate to climb down again. This time, if you go up the rock climb nearby, you'll find a big pile of rocks that can be piled into a minecart. Flip this switch to then move the rail car to the pile of rubble, then click on the rubble to fill up the cart. Man, this is the most laborious league challenge I've ever seen. Once it's filled up, go back down the wall to throw the lever, then back up the wall to send the cart south. Off screen, it will make the same sound effect it did when we first dumped the contents of a minecart out and it created a new rock wall. Climb down and hit this switch to redirect the upper track, ride the cart back up, flip the first switch again, fill the cart, and push it down the hill. Follow it to descend another wall, then ride it back up, only to descend without it again to hit this switch. Break your back loading up the cart again and push it down. Pursue it, climb down one more rock wall, then just push the prepared bomb cart into the pillar nearby. Really, Charlotte? You said the tracks were all messed up, but this one is just right there. Anyway, we're halfway done blasting away Blake's perch. Head back to Destruction Junction and take the right cart. Just a simple ride falling down yet another chasm, nothing... Never seen that glitch either. Bomb 3 Part 1 has you... Ow! Ride a cart, flip the nearby switch, get in the other cart, push this boulder onto the pad, flip this lever, go back 2 cart rides, then push the rock-filled cart once to the left side. Once it's there, ride the carts back to the left and reflip that switch to get the rocks to spill out of the minecart onto the wall, letting us access Part 2. Down here is going to be a puzzle that involves a lot of walking. At first, you'll see the strength boulder and the gaps in the rails you can move through. However, if you walk around the entirety of the outer rails, you'll see there isn't a place to stand to push the boulder through those gaps. So you may wonder how to get the rock to the center. Well, you'll soon realize that this is one continuous rail, going around in a spiral. You aren't getting a shortcut to the center. You need to push that boulder all the way around the spiral. This puzzle isn't hard, just tedious. There's nothing to say about it. Just push the rock around the rails and only put it into a corner if you can approach it from one of those gaps. This is definitely a room to use repels in. After a loop of the song is passed, you'll reach the pressure plate at the center and can send the third package to the final destination. Only one more to go, the southern direction. On the floor below, run away from Blake to the right where this boulder is. Push it to the left and up into the T-junction and leave it there. Ride the car to the right and then push the boulder onto the pad. This opens a gate with a switch, but you need to ride the cart back first, then walk all the way around to flip the switch, then all the way back to ride to the next pit. This final puzzle is a bit more mind-bending. The bomb is at the bottom of the tracks, but you don't want to mess with it for a while. Instead, flip the lever and go up here to smash this rock. Push that boulder into the corner. Flip the switch north of you to open a gate, then push this boulder south to give easier access to this lever, which you should not flip yet. The key here is to flip the switches on the right side of the room while heading north, which closes all the gates on the way out. The lever you just unblocked controls the gate on the north end of that corridor, so it has to stay open until you do all the other ones. The only exception to that is the very bottom lever near the bomb, which controls the gate on your left. With the track north of you fully built to reach the pillar, send the final bomb. There you go, Blake, crash that! With this, the path through Victory Road is open. Head back to Charlotte and let her know that we bombed that bastard good, then start heading back south. You can take that cart up to near that crazy strength puzzle, then climb up the rock wall that used to be a dead end. Before we go there though, we can push a couple of these boulders out of the way and access a shortcut back to the beginning of Victory Road. With this, I can heal my team from Blake hitting me in the head, and also, we can obtain our first spirit rewards. For 5 spirits defeated, Azure gives us another choice specs and Stellium Z. Nice start. Take the shortcuts back to where Charlotte is atop the collapsed pillar. When you meet up with her, someone else meets up too. Hardy. As always, his mind is only on saving Aya. Charlotte tells him that only Blake was here, and maybe still is, but just flatter, making him run farther in. As for Charlotte, she goes off to look for Saphira. We can then traverse the rough terrain over to the exit on the right. You'll enter a new dark crystal room. But take a few steps up those stairs and fuck you, Fern. Fern boasts how easily he can take me out with his Decidueye's arrows, getting a sarcastic remark from Sirius. Fern then turns his shittiness at his fellow agent now, saying he'll make Sirius his target instead. Sirius warns him to think about what Lynn would do, but Fern also shit-talks her, saying he is only interested in attacking me because I'm a bigger obstacle than him. At this, though, Aya pipes up that Lynn told them not to hurt me. Sirius threatens her against speaking again, saying all she's here for is to prevent what happened to Blake from happening to them. Aya continues anyway by saying they're just stalling for Lynn, which gets a backhand from Sirius and a harsher threat. But that's when Sirius confirms what she said. They are buying time so Lynn can set up another pulse? What? You can't mean the arc pulse. You don't have the keys. But then, who does right now? Now it's Fern's turn. Oh, before I forget, fuck you, Fern. Decidueye's arrows have less area than Sandslash's icicles, but are harder to notice coming and are faster. They'll hurt the same way, so keep on your toes. Go up through another cave entrance, and once you walk in a few steps, you'd find it's time to do the second gem logic puzzle. Now, if you don't know these puzzles, you may wonder, how bad would it be to solve the others? I mean, it would only have 3 grids, right? This one doesn't have 3 categories. It has 4. Another grid exacerbates the difficulty of the puzzle. Foliation. Furthermore, the puzzle's hints have become far more cryptic. Here they are on screen now. Do you notice something about these clues? None of them are direct this time. Every single instruction is relative, meaning you have nothing concrete to start with. Some of the hints will fall into place once you get a bit into the puzzle, but it's possible you can get it entirely wrong and not be sure why. These really do body slam the momentum of this dungeon, and this isn't the last one. Here are the 4 gems and the qualities they have in order to solve the puzzle. Don't read the screen if you actually want to solve this yourself. The next room puts you back in the line of Fern's fire, so move quickly. You'll encounter tight corridors coming up with strength boulders blocking your path, along with smashable ones. Push boulders into nooks to get them permanently out of the way, while smashing the rocks and watching the sky. Push this rock onto the pressure plate, go through the right gate, then push it back down to reopen the left gate. Now start pushing this boulder along, first left, then down the stairs. Guide it through this trench, getting out of the way of arrows, until it gets cornered. Walk around the rocks to move this boulder down into another corner, accidentally get shot, fuck you, Fern, then finally push this boulder onto the pressure plate. And then guess what? The game used your puzzle solving against you. Fern apparently set up this trap, which has now caused us to be soft-locked in this enclosure. He laughs and belittles me, and says there's nothing left for me to do but dance. But just then, a voice calls out, and Victoria suddenly rides in on a minecart and grabs us. We both go flying from the car as it hits a barrier and land in an enclosed pit, with only a cave as an exit. Thanks for the save, Victoria. Now we have to delve deeper to get back out of here. Sick of minecart puzzles yet? Too bad, here we go with the next one. This one will rely much more on the difficulty of not seeing where the minecarts are going all the time. Talking with Victoria, she doesn't see an exit, but she does see more TNT. She believes we can blast a hole through a weak wall to continue on. Before we begin this particularly nasty puzzle in earnest, nasty especially to recap and give advice for, I take the lower cart first, which brings me to the west side of the room. I ride the cart just above that one afterwards, then get dumped off by Spirit 8. Guess what? It's time for another game of chess. And it's in doubles this time. Yeah, that's an instant reset. Need to actually plan this one. And also, Fern fucking got me once, so I don't have full HP. So my pawns didn't even get their initial sturdy. After aggravatingly missing Megahorn a few attempts in a row on the first turn, I take a few pieces until this opponent deploys yet another Queen pseudo-legendary, Hydreigon. Greninja was coming out to plink down the 1 HP Staraptor pawn, but I desperately need to hit that with Hydro Vortex since he's still a knight. However, I milk it to kill the Staraptor first anyway, and am rewarded with surviving a heat wave from it. Greninja goes first to Hydro Vortex the Queen, and even with full HP, resisting water, and a special defense stage, the Hydreigon still dies. Good, another spirit released. Now I have to actually talk about this puzzle. When you head back a track, you'll see there's another of those rubble piles to do some manual labor here. Take the highest cart down and go smash this like button, I mean rock! Go over to the right to flip this switch, then take the carts to return to the beginning. Hop into the higher cart now to be above the strength boulder you unblocked, and move it onto the pressure plates. This opens a gate back on the east side. Walk through it to throw another lever, then go down to the lower cart to use this redirect. This lets you hit this lever, then you want to hit the gated lever again and use the lower cart once more. Jump into the next cart up, and thanks to the lowest lever, you get a cart near the rock pile. Get in the highest cart here and flip that other lowest switch again. At some point also, you'll want to walk right through a series of gaps in the rails to hit this switch too. Now you can shove the rocky cart along and hear it deposit the stones onto a wall across the room. Take the higher cart down to the bottom, head through those gaps again, then climb up the 2 rock walls to reach the TNT where Victoria joins you. She says she found the most likely spot to drill, the outcropping just to the right. She puts the TNT into the cart that blocked the rock steps here, then lets us figure the rest out. It's actually fairly easy. All you need to do is push the cart again, and wherever it goes, you just need to push it again after flipping this switch. That puts it on track to crash right into the wall Victoria pointed out. Go back to the southwest on foot, take this cart up, and run the TNT cart. The explosion signals you win. All you have to do now is go back to the beginning, flip the gate switch, then ride that lower cart up and walk through the door. On the other side, Victoria is already here, and once again, Hardy suddenly joins us. He asks if we have a plan, and though Victoria admits she really doesn't, she thinks that Meteor can't be expecting us to blast through walls to reach them. Hardy's willing to help however he can, and the two disappear to leave us to do everything. We've now entered the Crystal Hub, a place with 4 exits marked by the familiar colors. However, at this time, only 2 of those caves can be reached. The other 2 will actually have us loop back into this room the other way. The goal is to get past those 2 gates to the bottom of the room. Start by going to the southeast and navigate the rock hillsides to access the Ruby Room. You'll climb down some more rocks until you find a shimmering red crystal on top of a raised rock. When you climb up and use it, you'll discover this one does something different than the red crystals we've seen. This crystal will make the rock handholds move. Now there's a set of them on the right of this platform, and another one has spawned to the southeast. Also, you may notice those huge walls of ruby above you. Put those out of your mind. They don't factor into this part of the dungeon. Slide all the way down the hill into this cave entrance to find yourself in the Amethyst Cave. Climb up and you'll find another shimmering crystal here. For some reason though, it doesn't do anything. Ignore it, and climb up to the left to get through this cave entrance, which takes you back to the hub. This lets you climb into this pit to solve a quick strength puzzle, opening one of the gates. Take the rock climbs and one-way ledges to go access the next room in the northwest. You can ascend these cliffs to reach the Sapphire Room. You'll rappel down and maybe look at the ice rink at the bottom here. Try as you might, this one will not be solvable. Forget about that for a moment, and scale the walls to the left to access Spirit 9. Up until now, The names of these spirits have not been of anyone I think you could have heard about in-game. Well, this one is named Savage. Oh shit, it's the dude that the man in Lapras told the story about with Shade. And boy, is his team a right pain in the ass. He planted himself on water surface and he will destroy you. He destroyed me anyway, starting with Politoed for the 4th time, but also in doubles. The big problem is that his all-water team is going to outspeed most of your Pokemon and wear you down faster. Not to mention having a lot of those shitty water types with the worst second type. Kingdra, Seismitoad, and Ludicolo. I would do anything to have Trick Room for this fight. But I'm a mile under the surface with actually no way to get back out of here right now. I have to slam my head into this one so many times. The most important thing being the first turn where a Rock Slide and Discharge has to just barely get a range to kill Lapras. Even though his Seismitoad and Kingdra demolish most of my team, it comes down to Heracross and Vanillix against Kingdra on Death's Door with Gorbis. Kingdra just kills Heracross, but then Gorbis goes second and uses Surf. This kills the Kingdra, but not Vanillix. He ends the fight with a one-shot against Gorbis. This one fucking sucked. You know what's funny though? The story mentioned how Savage could not beat Shade. You want to know why? Big JRA's guide illuminated this for me, by the way. Shade used a Shedinja. Yeah, not one thing on that team can hit Shedinja. The more you know. Anyway, it's time to figure out what this glistening blue gem will do. When you activate it, a new rough spot gets added to the ice rink below. That extra space to stand lets you go through the ice puzzle and out into the emerald room below. This room has a flickering green crystal that does do what the earlier ones do. It changes the bushes around here into brittle rocks. Smash through this one and head up the wall to exit back into the hub again. One more easy strength puzzle later, the second gate opens. Walk through the 2 open gates, flip these switches to open shortcuts back to the southern areas, then head through another cave door in the south of the room. A simple jaunt to the north will put you face to face with this shiny Kling Klang. I like that bronze aesthetic. Right near the doorway at the top of this cavern is a Max Elixir. You can imagine those having value in the main event approaching later in this episode. Now go through the door and make another simple trek up to another door. Passing through this one will have you bump into Hardy, and along with him, Radimus. Radimus says he had been climbing for some time, though he ended up sliding down and now is somewhat lost. He mentions though that he saw Meteor's encampment, and more interestingly, a huge stalactite hanging above them. I'm thinking what Radimus is thinking. But Hardy outright rejects this idea, saying that would endanger Aya. Radimus understands, wistfully thinking how Gardevoir would be the bow on such a plan to teleport Aya away. However, Hardy isn't against finding someone else who can assist in a similar way. The two continue on, and so do we. Scale yet another linear rock face until you spot Victoria. When you get up to her, she mentions how there's just another dead end up here, up until she shoves you out of the way of Saphira and her Dragonite crashing through the wall. Hey, a live end! Walk through with Victoria, and watch her do a magic trick. She says first the way forward is gated when it isn't, walks north, oh, pick up this Max Elixir here too, and then disappears. Yeah, here's Logic Puzzle 3. Thanks to the Silver Shard, Victoria didn't have to suffer standing here with us for another hour. Because guess what? This one has a 5th category. Luster. Here are the hints you would have had to agonize over. This time around you do get one direct instruction, along with some direct refutations, but this one is definitely a degree more horrible than the last one. Here's the solution to the puzzle. Leave the room and start climbing down now, where you'll quickly find the path fork. Climb south first to discover a spirit sitting on the tiny ledge. He does a doubles battle on Desert Field, intensifying the sun. However, even though he took away water being a good option, I'm able to brush past this one on the first try using other types. That makes 10 spirits down. Now go back to the fork, and after heading east, you'll come to a second fork. You should go east first this time and climb. Up here will be another spirit who... I fucking hate Big Top. A Conkeldurr in Big Top is big trouble. Aerodactyl's aerial ace doesn't kill, but when I change it to fly, it'll bail out and let Tyranitar take the hits. The problem with that is, when it comes back in, it has activated Guts with a Flame Orb, and its Mach Punch, boosted of course triply, will one-shot Aerodactyl. I just go back to Aerial Ace, and after Aerodactyl dies, Galvantula survives its attack to kill it. Afterwards, I outspeed and one-shot every Pokemon he throws at me until his Gliscor, who I sent out Vanillix for. His Gliscor is faster though, and hits Vanillix with a double power Earthquake. Clutch fucking Master! Get out of my face, Big Top! The only way left to go is to the south from the second fork. On the way, pick up a Max Ether. Now you will reach the exit, and for once, you'll come outside for fresh air. The path outside is linear again, so ascend Charis Mountain a ways until you find another choice in direction. Go left first, and you'll get to face another spirit. He forces you to play in doubles on my third most hated field, Fairy Tail, and starts with a Noivern and Chandelure, who both pop seeds for King Shields. This will not end well. This was a miserable one, as that first turn allows them to hit you with impunity. I tried to use Hydro Vortex to blast the Chandelure even through its King Shield, but it wasn't enough. I would just be behind at least one Pokemon, and of course, this fucker is using an Aegislash. He also has a Belly Drum Aqua Jet Azumarill, but then I thought of the perfect way around the first turn with their Impenetrable Wall. Use my own Impenetrable Wall. I put Protect on both of my leads. This helped significantly as it allowed me to take a lead, but many tries still failed because Aegislash is an asshole. I finally killed it when my leads took no damage on the opening rounds, then Aerodactyl just crunched it to kill it. After that, even though there was some annoying slivers of HP letting his Pokemon take down some of mine, I finally got through. Head back now and start climbing up. No more forks appear as you go back inside the mountain. And that's when you encounter, already, the fourth logic puzzle. If you were like me, you might become confused when you see Radimus standing there and another Silver Shard. I suppose there must have been something about scripting that made this puzzle hard to lump in with the first three. Of course, it lets me show you the full extent of the fourth puzzle. Yeah, in case you didn't see it coming, it has a sixth category, habits. This is an utterly cruel thing to do to players. On the surface, even Radimus himself comments on the sadism on display here. What are the hints this time? These. Nothing here is direct. Nothing is even directly refuted. Everything is a relationship. And if you were like me, when I stood here and solved this monstrosity, it made this puzzle take over 2 hours. But there is mercy in this world. If you didn't have this Silver Shard nearby which makes Radimus disappear, then said Radimus will bail you out if you fail the puzzle enough. This comes at the cost of 1 relationship point, but that would be more than a worthwhile trade for that sanity. Of course, I did lose that sanity before, having solved this completely. Here's the solution if you need it. But don't leave the room so soon. Show your contempt for these blasted puzzles by stomping all over it, reaching the back of the cavern to obtain Gengarite. As well, here's Spirit 13. After picking up Gengarite, you fight a Gengar on Icy Field. This trainer loves to use seeds to give his Pokemon 2 stages of speed, and that is completely unreasonable quite a few times. A first trash attempt leaves Houndoom alone against a Jolteon in the water. Then I get all the way to their last Pokemon right after Houndoom Destiny Bonded that Jolteon without melting the ice. That last Pokemon was Scizor. Then I suffered many resets trying to find the damage range that let Galvantula survive and put down a Sticky Web. I discovered it didn't help. Even 1 speed stage is too much most of the time. Then I tried something else. Greninja is actually pretty fast enough to outspeed and one-shot Gengar, and with Blizzard, he can one-shot Dragonite. I predict a switch from Weavile into Starmie and Mega Hornet, trick Weavile into using Ice Punch with its choice item against Vanillux, who actually kills something with Mirror Shot. Finally, I get to Jolteon and Scizor with 5 Pokemon left, and can take them out. God, fights on Icy Field sure can suck! Hint, fucking hint! Start to vacate this room now, getting this Max Revive on the other side of the now open gate. You'll come out onto a ridge in a very tall cavern, passing by a huge blue stalactite. When you loop back to the right, you'll find Hardy and Radimus standing before the large stone formation, looking down at Fuck You Fern, Sirius, and Aya. Hardy is having serious doubts about trying to do anything with this stalactite with Aya down there, but Radimus says the proper arrangements have been made. They just have to wait for her. But besides worrying about Aya, Hardy is having trouble digesting the idea of sending this giant rock down on Fern. Pfft, but he's given no more time to think about it. The plan occurs. Saphira suddenly flies in, taking a brutal hit from Sirius's Tyrantrum, but she whisks Aya away from Meteor. And that is all Hardy has to see. When the dust settles, Radimus says that the way on should be traversable, but though he saw Saphira and Aya get clear, he does not know if the other two were struck. He goes on to say that he did see Sirius attempt to chase Aya and Saphira, but nothing about Fern. Don't you go thinking Fern is dead. You think we'd be free of Fern that easily? Fuck you, Fern. Hardy stops caring about being guilty about Fern and rushes off again. Radimus follows him, muttering about how the guilt should be his anyway. Another to add to his cost. When you follow them to the left, you'll discover that there are more rock climb handholds that lead down further. Heading left using them will give you access to Spirit 14. And now you get to have another crack at Inverse Field. Or more like, it takes another crack at you. Another repetition happens with Gengar up front again, but now it has opposite weaknesses. It also has a Focus Sash. This trainer also uses a Dragonite with a Seed for a Quint boost and a recharge. I still have Roar. This trainer also uses a Sceptile with a Seed for a Quint boost and a recharge. I still have... No, this time the recharge was used up on the same turn I used Roar, so I got to go immediately. Yeah, Grass is pretty good on Inverse, as it basically wipes my team. The way to beat that is to Roar the Dragonite and hope it doesn't drag Sceptile out next. If so, then after killing Infernape here, then I can Roar the Sceptile on its recharge turn, wasting its Seed too. Then you get a shitty Porygon 2 who bashes your whole team. But next time, the Porygon can't take 2 Mega Horns, and the rest of his team appears to be the ones unable to handle Inverse Field. Now you can descend all the way down and find yourself back at the beginning of the section where Fern started shooting off his mouth and arrows. You might be tempted to go back for the next rewards from Azure, but we're at 14. Hold on for a minute longer. Instead, head east up the rock walls and push aside this boulder, break this rock, and climb this wall to find another Max Revive. Down near the bottom of the room, you'll find this rock climb, which I actually don't know if that was here earlier, but when you go down and to the right, you'll find your 15th Spirit. He fights on Mountain Field, using a Dragonite who pops a Seed for 2 stages of attack, but losing an accuracy stage. That Dragonite then proceeds to miss its Rock Slide against both of my Pokemon. Twice! That's fucking nuts, even with 1 accuracy down. After that, a lot of good matchups delivers me another first try win. By the way, as you go back left, you'll see this cave, which leads into that rail puzzle we did with Victoria. I don't know if that door was there before, but if it was, I suppose this was the way out and back in if you wanted to leave the dungeon. Speaking of leaving the dungeon, I do that now with 15 spirits defeated. Azure now showers us with more gifts. Another Choice Band. Flyinium Z. Another Choice Scarf. And Fightinium Z. You know what that means? We now have every generic Z crystal in the game. There aren't many crystals left now. Now delve all the way back to where we got to and prepare to advance further into Victory Road. Getting past where the stalactite crashed down on Meteor's campsite, we can exit the cavern out into open air again, only to find Saphira's Dragonite face down on the ledge below. Hoping for the best, head right now and slide down some more rock walls. On this thin ridge, you're going to find the third of the pseudo-mega crystals, Metagrossite. Ascend the torchlit steps to the north, walk a bit to the right, and you'll find Victoria. Just in front of her is Solaris. When Solaris inquires what she's here for, she makes it clear revenge has come. But Solaris calls her act pointless, not because she is incapable, but because no matter what, death comes for him. When he confirms that she has come to avenge Kiki, who she says the world needed so much, he corrects her. Victoria needed Kiki, not the world. She angrily tells him that he will answer for his actions, but he replies that she would have to as well. She shoots back that she will not allow Meteor to go on, for the sake of the world and herself. That's when Solaris appears to mock her feelings of being too weak or absent at the worst time. But this isn't mocking, it's empathy. For despite his cruelty, he was faced with the exact same thing as Victoria, when his parents were murdered, when he murdered their killer. Then he would dedicate his life to making the world a better place in his own way. Now he has failed. The world did not change as he wanted, and his death is approaching, either by the hand of one he wronged, or, so to speak, the one he lost his hand to. And then Solaris comes closer and bids Victoria to walk this path if she so chose, saying that the fall from here would be too great for him to survive. She approaches him, the moment she had sought. With one push, revenge would be exacted. She does not go through with it. Solaris was confident in this, telling her, as she likely knows, that killing him would not quell the feelings of guilt she has. At this time, we are joined by another, Cal. When Victoria asks if he's here to talk her down as well, he responds that he wants to help her. What can he or anyone do, she asks. Cal asks if anyone would ever know. Kiki would, Victoria says, and gets angry when Cal asks what she would have done. What would the leader of Apophil do? Cal then follows. Victoria is pained by this, saying she can't be anything close to Kiki. Yet, Cal tells her, Kiki chose Victoria. Kiki entrusted Apophil to Victoria, and Cal asks if Kiki made a mistake. Victoria finally relents, and Cal tells her it's time to leave this place. She has no business here now. Solaris remarks on Cal's disposition, saying he's nothing like Blake said. He goes on to say again that this doesn't change his fate. It's still coming. As for us, he has no intention of fighting us again. The fight in Agate decided whose will was stronger. Now, he tells me to create the future with my ideals. You walk away from the leader of Team Meteor. But as soon as you reach the door in the northeast, the game gives you omniscience again. Solaris was right. Victoria's mercy meant nothing, as the next person who walks up to Solaris is devoid of mercy. Lyn. Solaris knows his life is at an end, saying now that he is also aware that Ace must have met a similar fate. However, Solaris requests Lyn answer 3 questions before he goes. Lyn says nothing, and Solaris asks first if Lyn had always planned to destroy Meteor and his plan like this, or if she just found an opportunity to do so. She replies that unraveling a plan due to impulse is more satisfying. Solaris then makes it clear that he knows what she's planning to do. What he believed was a lie, she will make true. She will create the new world. What kind of world does she want to create? One where hope exists, she tells him. One where anything can happen, be it everything at once or nothing at all. Solaris' last question is denied. If you go back to the last spot Solaris stood, you'll only find blood. Solaris and Meteor are dead. Only a few vestiges remain. We will soon find those vestiges, but the puzzles will continue first. After ascending a few flights of stairs, you'll find a side path, at the south end of which is another spirit. Another Gengar leads this fight on desert. This trainer loves to use seed items to boost defense, trapping themselves in sand tombs. Thanks to another demonstration from the Clutch Master, dodging a rock slide from a 1 HP Excadrill, his hail manages to take out the mole and another Focus Sashed opponent, and allow the rest of the pins to fall in one attempt. Up from here is a cave, leading into a room that obviously has a real beef with the laws of physics. Ice and lava sit in close proximity in this room. To the right in the center of the lava pool is a spirit and megastone. I leave it alone for the moment and go back to the previous room, heading north until we find this large machine connected to a floor panel. Stepping on the panel causes a flash of light, but nothing else. Just then, the person who saved the Labradora tournament competitors arrives. Florinia. She explains that she finished freeing the others, saying that anyone who lost in the first round was given a path to go back to Labradora, while all the others were sent here to Victory Road. She says she's here to help finish uninstalling Team Meteor. She can help by allowing us to use a remote PC. Oh, my dearest friend, I've missed you. Soon you'll be mine again. Florinia goes on to say how she has heard reports on this machine and how to open the door. Apparently, the final one in Victory Road. She says it will require us to find several crystal objects, up to 12 in fact. Once we have them, we can bring them back here and she will assist in solving the puzzle. Where are those crystals located? She then finds a switch on the machine that activates a portal to take us to the area of the cave system where we can find the crystal stars we need. We'll head to those places soon. First off, she further explains this remote PC as being only usable in this place due to its strange energy. She says traveling with it is impossible. Currently. Besides that, it is a normal PC, and allows me to switch up my team at last, something I will need dearly for the last part of Victory Road. To the south, you can find the teleporter that will take you to where you can find the crystal stars. By warping, you can recognize this place as that hub with the 4 crystal areas we did earlier, with 3 extra light shards available. However, we first need to take care of that extra fire and ice cave. There's no way forward first except by jumping onto this ice rink. Start by heading down, then right up left down right up right down right. You'll head north into this half of the ice, then go left, down, left, up right, down, left, down, which brings you to another glowing crystal. When you hit it, a bridge will have formed to the east. Backtrack this ice rink and head over there. When you find the bridge, you'll also find another red crystal and 3 glitter balls. Hitting the red crystal will put some handholds on the right wall near the bridge, letting you go further right. You'll find another rink to skate on, but this time, try as you might, there's no way to reach the top half. You may wonder what this strength boulder is for, since it only seems to be able to go into a corner. The solution, which took me an embarrassing amount of time to realize, was to hit that red crystal again and find where the red handholds go. They are right next to that boulder. So by moving it down and out of the way, you can use those handholds to then find another set of them going straight down to the center of the crescent-shaped ice. From there, you can easily reach the top of the ice to use this next blue crystal. Sure enough, heading back to the left side of the cavern, you'll be able to access the Spirit and Megastone, that stone being Lucarionite. As for Spirit 17, he's going to give you Radimus Deja Vu again, with this doubles chess battle. It's miserable, as you can guess. His team is maddening to deal with, having fast Pokemon at first with an annoying opener duo. The worst thing about it is when Serperior puts up Light Screen, thus ruining my group attack moves except for Rock Slide, which is not typed well against these Pokemon. Plus, his Reuniclus loves to put up Trick Room when reduced to only slow teammates, including his Queen Excavalier. However, I barely eke out a win using Sticky Web to slow down the initial opponents, then had just enough time to use Vanillux Pawn Sturdy to hit the Excavalier enough times. Now we can return to the Dark Crystal Hub to start tracking down the Crystal Stars. However, we aren't going to be alone in this place. I know what's coming, and I decide to get it out of the way now. I head northwest to the Sapphire Room. When you go to the northern end of the room, the large sapphire wall that stood in the way earlier is now gone, as will be the others like it in the other rooms. The next chamber you step into contains, as you'll learn, the mother of all ice sliding puzzles. I'm really not looking forward to figuring out how to translate my terrible pathfinding into an actual solution to give you, but here it goes. As you begin, you'll be tutorialized again about the blue crystal putting a rough patch on the ice. This first rink being very easy to solve. The next one will be trickier. You need to get to the southwest to use that crystal, which you can do by going left, down, right to bump into this rock. Up, right, down, left, down, brings you to the rock climb. Hitting the sapphire puts one patch on the ice, but to the right is a hidden path to climb up the southern rock face to find the next spirit. Big Top! And an Aerodactyl mirror match. Well, my Mega is faster. Yeah, well, his has a focus sash and hits Stone Edge. However, by using Greninja and killing it with Water Shuriken in at most 2 strikes, I found that the rest of his team ended up being slower than mine most of the time, and I one-shot down his team. Back to the ice. Make your way back to the starting position, then go left to land on the new solid ground. That lets you go straight up to this ledge to hit another crystal, and another square of traction spawns. The rest of this puzzle can be solved by going down, right down, left, up, left, and leave the rink. Now go to the right, and prepare to pull your hair out. This rink is massive, and has many more crystals to reach than the previous one. The first one can be reached by going left and up. You'll reach this patch, from which go down, right, up and left. 1 down. Go into that narrow corridor above you now, then skate across left, down, and right to land on the new patch. Up, left, down, left reaches the next crystal. From this spot, going down, right, and up will bring you to the next checkpoint. The room is much larger than can fit on your screen, so your movements will be blind and require trial and error. The next crystal is pretty easy to reach from here. Just go right and down. The new rough spot spawns just northeast of you. Getting back to the beginning of the puzzle can be frustrating, but you can do it from here by going up, right, down, left, up, and right to get back into that thin tunnel, making it easy to return to the beginning. Now from the very first tile of the ice, go up, left, down, left, and up. Here's where the puzzle gets aggravating. Going the wrong direction from here usually gets you stuck back in the middle of the ice where we just were. You'd have to wiggle your way back to that tunnel like we just did to get back here. I would recommend you save on this spot to avoid that. The solution to get to the next crystal is very long, and you would easily make a mistake going one wrong direction and have to do it all again. You actually start by going right again, then up and left, then go up, right, down, and from this rock, left, up, right. Another patch appears below you. I then spent a long time trying to figure out how to land on that spot, until I realized that you once again have to return to the beginning. I do not have a great pathway for how that is done, but after moving around the ice for a while, you should get back to somewhere familiar where my previous directions will apply again. Now from this spot, skate left, and from the newest spot, go up, left, down. One final crystal creates the last rough spot to use to exit this nasty puzzle. Once again, I spent entirely too long figuring out how to use it, when the solution is to go left, up, right, which puts you back at the beginning. From the previous rough patch, go up, right, down, left, down, right, and finally up. Congratulations, you're free from this icy hell. Now get your team ready for the next one. Going through the door to the north, you'll make your way through the narrow chamber until you spot Cal. Unlike Victoria, Cal did have one more piece of business here. Blake. When we arrive, we learn that Cal, for the first time, managed to defeat Blake. Blake doesn't seem to care that he lost, instead hurling insult after insult at his brother. Cal tells him to give up Meteor and go home. He says he will bring Blake back by force if necessary, and goes out to wait for him by the exit. Blake acts like the biggest douchebag, mocking Cal and accusing him of being just like him. Then he turns his attention to us until his attention is pulled to something else. A light shard? What the hell? Why did that just appear for Blake? Horribly, the world's most hated ice trainer uses it and plans to go mow down Cal's tired team, unless I plan on stopping him. I do, fuckhead. And here we go, fighting the opponent that I hate the most, Blake. He leads with something we've seen often, his Starmie, which meets my Galvantula. You might see my 4-level advantage and think I have a good matchup. Let me remind you about something. Pulse 2. That Starmie and every one of Blake's Pokemon have absolutely maximum stats. Perfect IVs, max EVs. I know how fast his team will be and go for Sticky Web, just barely being able to survive Ice Beam. However, I can't let Galvantula just die. Blake has a ton of water types to deal with, so instead, I switch into Greninja. He still takes a painful hit from Ice Beam on the switch in, then dies to Thunderbolt without getting a chance to attack. Mega Aerodactyl goes out there and outspeeds to Crunch. It didn't kill. Yeah, that's Pulse 2 for you. Aerodactyl somehow survived Ice Beam to kill on the follow-up, but this is already a lost cause. Out next is Gyarados, and even though I have Galvantula, Vanillux may only be useful right here. Of course, his Hail is only going to make things worse for me, and now we find out that, like one of the earlier spirits, we're going to be seeing a lot of seeds giving Blake's Pokemon 2 stages of speed. Vanillux survives Waterfall though to freeze-dry Gyarados to death easily. And then comes Weavile. Oh great, yeah, that again. I decide to send out Houndoom to it, both to preserve Aerodactyl since this bastard will definitely use Ice Shard on him, and because I'm going to melt the ice. What's great is that one speed stage lost to Sticky Web lets Houndoom go first and hit Heat Wave. It's not enough to kill though, as he's hit back with Brick Break and One Shot. This is shit. Everything will be slower or killed by Ice Shard. Galvantula proves the Ice Shard part. Heracross goes out there and takes one too, losing a third, and watching the Weavile drop into the water from Life Orb. Now comes the consequences of bringing Vanillux. Icy Field is gone, but Hail is here. And Alolan Sandslash is next. Even with a speed stage lost from Sticky Web, Heracross can't outspeed or survive. Aerodactyl can barely do anything, and yeah, what is Vanillux even doing here? This is a team that has a 0% chance of beating Blake. There's also no point in trying to use Sticky Web here. It would just be better to go with Trick Room. Of course, what this means is that we now need to go all the way back through the ice puzzle to switch at Florinia, then come back through it again. When we do, we dropped Houndoom, Vanillux, and Aerodactyl for Slowbro, Mawile, and Hariyama. Galvantula still leads, and I decide to see if he can kill the Starmie with Thunderbolt instead. That close. I send out Greninja to Water Shuriken to barely take it down with 3 hits, only to be greeted by Wall Rain. Well, it's slow enough that my Heracross might be able to outspeed, letting me delay Trick Room. I try this, and I'm right. Heracross is faster. She comes 1 HP away from killing it, dying to Avalanche. Could have used that guts real bad there. At this point, I'm going for Trick Room, but as Slowbro does, Blake fully heals fucker. Hariyama is the only one who can deal with it now. He'll have to take a switch-in hit though. Even better, a Yawn from Walrein hits him, but since he gets burned immediately, that can't go through anymore. Now, a Guts Close Combat does fully lay out the Walrus. But then we come to a problem. Gyarados. See, this time, I don't have Vanillux, and Galvantula is already dead. I really don't know how to deal with this, but I go into Mawile for raw strength. She hits with a Play Rough that does a lot, but then takes an Earthquake. She lived? Okay, a Sucker Punch takes out the Gyarados, but now spikes are on the ice to hurt every switch-in. Sandslash is here again, but with Trick Room, Hariyama easily shatters it. Next up is Mamoswine. I think that Hariyama has this in the bag since it gets 2 stages of speed, but instead, Mamoswine interrupts with an ice shard and almost kills thanks to Hariyama's lowered defense. He still hangs on and crushes the mammoth too, and now there's only one more. But it's Weavile, who is going to ice shard him too. Mawile has no better of a chance because spikes do damage to her too. She goes down, and then my trick room ends. Greninja goes out, and I hope that I can use Hydro Vortex. He's one shot by Brick Break. I have to trick room. One shot by Knockoff. Fake out from Hariyama doesn't kill. Stolen. Utterly fucking stolen. I fucking hate Blake so much. Now we have to start all over again. So that Starmie came within one speck of dying from Galvantula with Life Orb. I give him a Choice Specs now instead, and though he still takes an enormous hit, he kills Starmie in one. That now causes Mamoswine to come out, as I decide to get Slowbro out to Trick Room immediately. And then Mamoswine does the worst thing possible that completely ruins this fight. Knockoff. Amplifield Rock falls out of Slowbro's hands, and now I only get 5 turns of Trick Room. This is a massive problem, as you'll soon see. Also, Slowbro can't kill with Surf, of course, and there are spikes on the ground from Earthquake again. I make probably a really dumb play next with Hariyama and don't fake out, instead going for a guaranteed kill. He gets rewarded with half his life lost to Ice Shard. Now Weavile is coming into a Trick Room and Heracross has full HP. Not sure why Blake did that, but after Heracross loses 3/4 of her HP to Ice Shard, she mangles the Weasel. But then when Blake wants to send Fucker back out here, I make another mistake. I don't switch into Hariyama while Trick Room is still up, and Heracross goes second to die to Waterfall. Then Trick Room stops. Of course, Walrein also buries Hariyama, then Galvantula dies to the spikes before he can even try to attack. Fuck this. Next attempt ends on a freeze from the initial Ice Beam. Yeah, some wonderful RNG events too. The one after that has me trying to use a Choice Scarf and Thunder to kill in one hit and take no damage. Thunder doesn't kill without the damage boost, and then Starmie gets a crit. We get past Starmie again on attempt 6, but now there's that Mamoswine. I can't lose 3 turns of Trick Room, so I go into Heracross. But this fucking elephant is faster! Oh, it missed Icicle Crash! What? My fucking close combat missed? Yeah, Snow Cloak. Great, ruined my chance thanks to more shitty luck. Okay, then next attempt, we have Greninja use Hydro Vortex on it. No we don't! He's outspeed and one-shot by Earthquake. I'm mad. Now Greninja has to ditch the Z move to use Choice Scarf just to kill Mamoswine, which I don't think he can do with just Surf. Well, let's find out. Can Surf do it? A critical hit. Yeah, unless I win right now, that's not a good sign. Now we have Walrein again, but we know how this went with Heracross. Unless she has Guts on, she can't beat it in one hit. I decide to try using Galvantula since it has little HP left, forgetting there's a Gyarados still coming. Thunderbolt puts it in red as Galvantula faints. No full restore comes out from Blake, and Walrein is pummeled out. But now we have Weavile again, and we're going to need a Trick Room now. Yeah, Slowbro was knocked out by Knockoff. I can't believe how much Weavile fucks me up on every single encounter it's in. It destroys my Heracross in one hit, then bounces out to Gyarados against my Hariyama. Gyarados goes on to trash my team and get full restored. End of attempt. Oh yeah, remember the Surf on the Mamoswine? It doesn't kill without a crit. I tried a second time after another loss to a freeze, but the range was even worse. Then somehow, Greninja didn't die to Earthquake. Oh okay, then let's move over to Water Shirt choice item. Yeah, Greninja dies to Ice Shard. Hariyama manages to fake out the stupid Mammoth, but now we're in the same position with the Weavile. Even from nearly full HP, Hariyama dies to its Icicle Crash. No crit, no defense loss. This is just bad. I decide to try again with 5 turns of Trick Room. Greninja puts down the Mamoswine with Water Shuriken after Slowbro faints, and Hariyama uses 2 of my precious Trick Room turns to cram Walrein into a can. After that, time's already up, and now I have to deal with Weavile again. That's when I realize something. I have not tried using Mawile on it. How does she do? She survives Icicle Crash and one-shots it. Wish I remembered that she was doing that from last episode. Now Gyarados wants to come out again. But when I try to send my nearly dead Galvantula back out, the ice spikes make him fully dead. Great, now my only choice is to use Stone Edge on Heracross. On this... Sandslash? Wait, what? What the hell is that? Sandslash came out, took Spikes damage, then immediately left for Gyarados. Well, whatever. Heracross survive a waterfall? Yes! Does she land Stone Edge and kill? Yes! Now all we have left is Sandslash, who Hariyama goes out to deal with. Though I have no Trick Room, I'm hoping that Hariyama's bulk is enough. Yeah, guess what? It fucking isn't. He dies to one Icicle Crash. Please, Greninja, survive this. Okay, he did, and he has a choice specs now. Hit Surf, and... Are you fucking kidding me right now? Hear me now. I am declaring this. Between last episode and this episode, including all of the remaining fights that haven't been shown yet, Blake is the worst one. It's not even a question. Blake is by far the most horrible opponent. Nothing will change my mind. That's 2 robberies now. His Starmie wastes another attempt with a crit, then I waste time trying to hit the Mamoswine with Choice Specs Water Shuriken to try taking no damage. It misses due to Snow Cloak. Twice. On the 3rd try, it barely kills the Mamoswine with 4 hits. That does not seem like a consistent strat. For now I go into Slowbro against Walrein to get my chance to Trick Room, as it went for Curse. There's nothing Slowbro can do here, so I switch to Hariyama, which gets that same cool yawn interaction to happen. Here's what isn't cool. Now, that single defense stage let Walrein survive a Guts close combat, and then fucker kills Hariyama from full HP. I just need to kill this thing. Mawile goes for Sucker Punch. It fails because Blake healed fucker. I run out of patience watching Mawile slap the walrus while it's constantly passively healing, Mawile eventually falling asleep too. We were so close on 2 different attempts. Why is this so horrible? I go back to the Choice Scarf Surf strat. It misses Mamoswine because of Snow Cloak. I get so pissed that I slap the reset button twice by accident. After another attempt with too low of a range on Surf, I finally decide to just start the fight with Slowbro. I didn't want to do this because 8 turns isn't really enough to beat 6 opponents, but I'm losing my mind. Especially when Slowbro gets paralyzed off of Thunderbolt, misses her first turn, then puts up Trick Room with barely any HP left, and doesn't get to fire a Shadow Ball thanks to another Paralysis lost turn. The next try sees a much better version of this first matchup, where Slowbro doesn't get paralyzed and manages to take down Starmie with 2 Shadow Balls. Blake decides to send the Weavile out immediately into a Trick Room. All I know is that whoever meets it is going to lose a ton of HP to Ice Shard, forgetting that Mawile would be great against it. Instead, I use Hariyama to let him get burned too, and he loses half his HP. When Mamoswine is next, I think about whether Hariyama can take another Ice Shard. When I test this, I find out he can't. Heracross avenges her fellow fighting type and mashes the Mammoth. Now it's time for Gyarados, which at first I'm worried about against Galvantula in a Trick Room, but it gets 2 stages of speed, so Galvantula easily one-shots it with Thunderbolt. Of course, Blake had to be an asshole like always and held out Walrein until now. Heracross can't go out into it. I decide to leave Galvantula out there, and I'm greatly rewarded. Galvantula takes a huge hit but lives, removes most of Walrein's health, then the Trick Room goes away and Galvantula can easily follow up. This is good, but I won't get my hopes up until all 6 of Blake's Pokemon are knocked out. The last one being Sandslash. Of course it is. The Pokemon that rained icicles down on us earlier is all that's left. But this time, Slowbro is still alive. I go for a Regenerator sacrifice to give her more HP, but then I find I may have lost for not going for Trick Room immediately. As I send out Galvantula, Sandslash used Swords Dance. Oh no. Galvantula is knocked out, and when Slowbro comes back and is targeted by Icicle Crash, I expect the worst. But the Icicle Crash is not enough! She lives, avoids a flinch, and Trick Rooms a second time. From here, I can put out Heracross to finally goddamn beat Blake. Fuck this fight. I was hoping so hard that I'd be better this time around to the point where this wouldn't happen. Instead, every single thing I hate about Blake's team all came to aggravate me at once. Disregarding the one double reset means this one took 20 attempts. The most of any battle in the game so far. Except for that stupid Tsarina. I swear that's such a meme at this point. When you look at my team picture from last file, you'd think it was much easier for me then. Trust me, it wasn't. What was I even doing with Sigilif and Vanillux? How did I win this? With this disgusting battle over, Blake then wonders aloud where the assistance from Lynn is that she promised. He didn't really expect her to follow through on helping him, saying that all she wants to do is win, but alone. He knew since Ametrine this team was a bad place to be, but he had to stick with it to keep from being their target too. Now instead, he turns to me and asks if I'll take out Lynn before she gets back to him. With that, he hangs it up and heads out to go with Cal. Now we can explore this cave finally. It's not complicated at all, and in the corners you'll find the 3 sapphire stars. Once you've collected all 3 of them, then you'll get a break. You don't have to go back across the ice room again. Just jump into this warp. Take a light shard to restore yourself from Blake's fight, then choose another path. I decide to make it the emerald one in the southwest. Down the rugged terrain from where the emerald wall was, pick up another max elixir. After heading through the southern door, you'll step into a room with a lot of vegetation. The room is set up with several corridors, many wires running along them to control gates. The first thing you want to do is walk along the southern shelf to reach this green crystal, which changes a bush into a rock. Back near the sign, the only path forward is taken when you use this other emerald to harden the tall bush. And that's when he comes scurrying back in. Fuck you, Fern. The asshole begins projecting, saying exactly what I'm thinking of him. He's got the gall to think that I'm the one in the wrong here, and that I picture myself as better than him. He tries to act like he thought I was alright when we first met. No way you did, liar. And says he is sickened by how wrong he was. Then Fern commands his Decidui to resume the assault he was doing a few caverns ago. This time, the arrows the owl fires are not one-tile targets. Instead, Decidui fires them low to the ground, which covers an entire vertical lane of tiles. Once that column of red appears, get out of it right away. He attacks with a certain rhythm, so get a feel for it and wait in the column with an open tile to your side to dodge. What's the objective here while Fern is barraging us? We'll need to start by going up these corridors, avoiding the firing lines. This rightmost one has an open gate, which you can pass to reach another switch. That opens a gate on the raised platform, but another gate is in front of it. Instead, climb up these vines to flip this switch instead. This opens a long corridor, at the end of which is a pressure plate. Yeah, you're going to need to push a strength boulder up here while avoiding the arrows. Also, bear in mind that the closer you get to Fern, the less time you have to dodge the attacks. Climb up these vines to open a gate on the right side. Juke the shots to open the first gate of 3 on the nearby raised rock. Go back to that previous switch that controlled 2 gates and hit it again. This opens a gate on the left to another switch. On the westmost end of the room, you can break that rock we converted earlier to climb up to a spirit. Just gonna have you stand there and reflect for a little longer. If you go into the leftmost tunnel and then dip left here, Fern won't be able to aim at you. However, the instant you come back into view, he'll fire without delay. At the north end of this tunnel is another strength boulder pad, and the boulder is just to the south. Push it straight up to just below the large crystal, brave the trench again, loop around to its left side, then carefully time your movements to get it onto the plate and open that next barrier. This now completely opens this raised walkway, giving access to a lever for another gate, and also a green crystal and bush pillar. The moment you use the crystal, the pillar crystallizes and Decidui fires at you. It hits the pillar and reflects the arrow into the owl, injuring it. Fern badmouths our attempt to fight back, assuring us he won't give up until we're dead. Now we have to push another boulder, this one on the left, all the way to the right and up into that corridor from earlier. The path to do so isn't complicated, but you need to stop and move to a safe spot every few tiles. Keep on your toes near the top to avoid a close-range shot, then finally deposit the boulder onto the plate. This opens the last gate on the nearby outcropping, which brings us up to a crystal to convert more bushes. Yet again, Fern's starter hurts itself, and Fern now begins to get desperate. He yells out asking why we're always coming out on top. By now, the third crystal is also accessible, so maneuver up one more outcropping to reach it. When we activate this, Decidueye takes one more shot to itself and can't go on. Fern retrieves it, then calls me worse than inhuman. He goes so far as to compare me to Lynn. He dares to say I only bring destruction, and I'm even worse than her, despite her being forthright with her selfish desires. He ends by saying if he never sees us again, it'll be too soon. The feeling is mutual. Fuck you, Fern. With that, Fern is gone, and the last corridor in this room is now usable. Before, you couldn't think of traveling up this one because of this sludge in the middle. It would slow you down, and with no hiding spots, you'd get shot easily. Before we leave this room, we have a spirit or two to beat. The first one is the one we left alone earlier, who starts with a Tyranitar in the desert with a sandstorm, plus a seed for more defense. Despite all that defense, Aerodactyl takes it down in 2 iron heads, and the rest of his team never mounts an offensive in return. However, if you leave and come back into this room, you'd find out there's another spirit in here. The handholds you need are well hidden over here, and you can get right up to him. Now a Tyranitar fights us on a different sand-based field, Ashen Beach. Unfortunately, I do not first try this one, as his Tyranitar can kill my Aerodactyl first. Heracross can kill it easily, but then this Excadrill just stomps my whole team. I thought I could stop its Sand Rush by stopping the Tyranitar's Sandstorm, but Ashen Beach activates it for him. Wonderful. So how did I win? The Clutchmaster survived its attack, hit it with Blizzard, froze it, and it lost its next turn. After that, the rest of his team went down. Yeah, easy and not at all cheesy. And that makes 20. We won't be leaving to get the rewards though until we have defeated all 25. Now go into the cave behind where Fern was and start scouring for stars. After you pick up all 3 of them, the teleporter will activate, but climb up this wall and activate another crystal. This solidifies a bush to the right, which was locking away Spirit 21, whose opening line resonates with me more than anyone else. His battle puts a strange combination of opener and field effect together. Metagross on grassy terrain. I found out that burning the field with Houndoom was not a winning play, but by using dark moves to get rid of Metagross, the rest of his team had no way of changing the momentum. Time to head back to the hub and go towards the next crystal stars. I know what's going to happen in the Ruby Room, so I'm saving it for last. Instead, we're going to tackle the Amethyst Room. On the way, we encounter a shiny Arcanine. Right before you enter the Amethyst Cave, pick up this Max Ether. Looking at the map in this room, the interior of this cavern seems pretty ho-hum. Doesn't seem like there are any puzzle elements. However, when you climb down the nearby wall, you'll learn there is definitely something going on here. We look towards the east and see Radimus. Above him on a higher ledge is Gardevoir. It really is her. Despite being swallowed by her own black hole, she's returned. How? Radimus speaks to her, trying to make her realize it's him. He beckons her to trust him and let him take them away from all this. She descends the slope until she's in front of him, as he wonders what was done to her to make her stop communicating. Radimus murmurs an apology now to Xena. But then... No! Why would she do that to her own trainer? Lynn has done something to her. There's no time to think about that, though. She's discovered I'm here, too. This is less puzzle than action scene. Gardevoir is going to follow you relentlessly, while a black hole dogs you to throw you back into the void. Nearby, there's a gleaming amethyst crystal, but activating it seems to do nothing. You might think you need to grab Gardevoir and battle her, but that's not the play. Instead, You need to make the black hole hover over the crystal, which will swallow it and shatter several more crystals nearby, opening the path further into the cave. After this, Gardevoir spawns another black hole, and from now on, they'll move much faster. Let me offer you some advice about this sequence. Don't be trying to use your item finder or pick up items while there's a black hole active, because it continues moving while the text box is up and freezing you in place, which could lead you to... However, once again, the Mistress of Darkness, Luna, speaks to you and says that she will take care of her master. But as for us, this place is not ours to visit now. We are suddenly back in the previous room. There's no repercussion for losing the sequence other than having to start all the way over again. The difficulty of this scene stems from the fact that wrangling the Void Gate is very annoying. It will not choose to move horizontally or vertically when you'd hope it would, letting it slither around the crystals at the worst time and engulf you. I failed a second time due to this. There's a trick to this though. Watch where the black hole is approaching from, and stand on the opposite corner of the crystal from it. It seems to move in a stair-like pattern when you do this, and for me, it always ate the crystal. Unfortunately, I lost again since I went to a dead end and the void caught up to me. Keep an eye on your surroundings and try to find the rock climb walls as quickly as possible. I was only one crystal away from reaching the exit in the bottom right of the room. Ducking into it makes Gardevoir give up and leave this cavern, at which point you can go ahead and scour the cavern properly. We'll do that in a minute. First, go forward and find the amethyst stars with this max revive next to one. 3 amethyst stars in hand puts us 3 ruby stars away from finishing Victory Road. Go back into the previous cavern now and start vacuuming up the items you missed, as well as investigate the spirit indicator. That spirit is in the south of the room where I got dead-ended, up some new rock climb walls. This is Spirit Ikaru, named after one of the developers actually, and he fights on psychic terrain, which for this series marks the first time it has appeared as the starting field. Imagine going over a vanilla field effect readout this late. His team had multiple sturdy effects, but what this meant was Vanillix got kill credit for several more Pokemon beyond his Dragonite thanks to Hail, leading to another first try. Once you defeat the spirits, make sure you finish checking out this cavern. You see, in the northeast there are some more rock climb walls that weren't there when Gardevoir was harassing us. Up those walls, you'll obtain the final Megastone for the final Mega Pseudo Salamensite. All Z crystals, all Mega Stones. Bask in the completionism. Head back to the hub and prepare to take the final wing, the Ruby Cave in the northeast. This is going to be a room where your rock climbing will get a real workout, as you use these red crystals to move the handholds around. The first crevice will give you the blueprint for the room, having you climb into the pit and then back out, then back in from above to use the crystal. That moves the handholds below to the next wall to the right. The next section has you climb up to move handholds from the right to the left. Pretty straightforward. That'll bring you over to this crystal, which you can touch after climbing up that wall. That takes away your path backwards, so you must jump down the ledges here to go back to the beginning and redo the first 2 steps. That's why that strength boulder is there. It lets you skip the first part. Now climb up to the right of that latest crystal and head further in. Use 2 crystals here to make your way to the left side of the left crystal. Hit that crystal to move the rocks to your left and climb up, noting that spirit right above you. Climb down just north and move the boulder down to make traversal easier. Once again, using a crystal will take away your previous handholds, and you'll have to jump down the ledge and make your way back through the earlier segments. Climb up here now, and make your way south for a diversion from the puzzle, fighting the next spirits. You'll fight on Burning Field against a Typhlosion using a speed-boosting seed, which is a horrible combination. Aerodactyl is outsped and nearly dies to Eruption, but can take it out. After that, some key surviving, field damage, and hail damage got me through the fight for another win on the first attempt. Head back north to climb up here and remove your steps back down using this crystal. Now you will really have to go back through the entire puzzle again, though many of the steps should already be solved for you to make it faster. That gets you up here, and you can walk clockwise to reach another crystal to move closer to the center of the caldera. However, you should go up to this layer first, head to the north and hit a crystal, then loop back around to get back to that spot. Catch this shiny Hariyama on the way. Climb up those new handholds to reach the northwestern end of the room and pick up 3 more glitter balls. Go back to this layer to continue on. Do a section similar to the second one. Then notice this pressure plate and strength boulder. You can easily open the gate using them, which grants access to another crystal. That lets you get deeper into the pit, using another crystal to climb this wall. This crystal puts handholds back where you came from, so head back, climb, use another crystal, and climb again. You'll walk north with seemingly only the option to jump down another ledge, but back south is a sneaky crystal to hit first. Now go up to the ledge, jump down and come back to this section. Hit the crystal to move handholds down, then find new handholds from the higher gem. When you walk north, you'll find that you have gained access to the end of the puzzle. First though, to the right is a thin ledge you can use to reach Spirit 24. Once again you will battle on psychic terrain. I thought the Aerodactyl could outspeed the Gardevoir after the opening Ninetales, but he can't. Thankfully, it's using a seed that gives it special attack but makes it confuse. All I had to do was wait for Gardevoir to hit itself so I could Iron Head it down. Despite using 2 more Focus Sash Pokemon against me, the rest of his team can't manage to get a foothold. 1 spirit remains. Now there's only one more place to go. Through the door north. As you venture inside further, you're going to find Charlotte and Hardy. As you approach, you hear them arguing, with Hardy telling Charlotte he won't do anything to hurt Aya. When you walk closer, you realize what they're talking about. Despite having a Dragonite swipe Aya away from him at the same time that a stalactite fell on his head, Sirius once again has Aya in his clutches, with her dangerously close to the lava between the 2 of our groups. Charlotte chides Hardy for giving Meteor power by caring what happens to Aya, pulling that shit she did with Shelly. Hey, Sirius is kind of a nut job. I don't think your logic works here. Sirius tells Hardy to listen to Charlotte, telling him to back off or Aya is done for. Charlotte, though, doesn't have patience for Sirius either, only wanting him to tell her what happened to Saphira. Sirius is happy to tell her that Saphira tried to save Aya, only to go plummeting down a cliffside. But then, Sirius then brings up something else. In an act of complete boasting and lack of self-preservation, he believes Charlotte was here for another reason, one she is not actually aware of to his surprise. She gets impatient and tells him to spit it out. The one-eyed member of Meteor then states the truth of the night that her parents died. They didn't die of an accident. He admits to their murder, saying he only wishes he could have gotten her and the rest of her family too. He was waiting to see what vicious remarks she'd have for him, but instead pats himself on the back for how well he covered his tracks. Charlotte, however, seems more annoyed that her built-up guilt was for nothing, rather than angry at Sirius for killing her parents. She gives Sirius 2 words to show her venom. Fuck you. Charlotte then leaves the cavern, Sirius rather disappointed in the reaction he got. He knows that if he said this to Saphira, he'd get a much greater rise out of her. Turns out, he doesn't have to guess. Saphira suddenly drops in behind Sirius and grabs him, telling Aya to get behind her. Her quest for vengeance will be realized after all, but she then tells me she doesn't have enough Pokemon left to break through Sirius's team. Instead, I will have to fight him. Just as well, time to take out the last of Meteor's real agents. Don't think, though, that this will be easy. This fight puts you on Saphira's favorite field, Dragon's Den, in doubles, starting you against a Manectric and an Alolan Marowak. I do not like Aerodactyl and Heracross up front here. I am never confident on the first attempt of a major fight, especially against a mixed types team. I decide to hope I kill the Manectric with Stone Edge and Rock Slide. Turns out, that's Mega Manectric. A fucker that outspeeds Mega Aerodactyl. What's horrible about it is that it also drops an Intimidate on Mega Evolutions, so should my Pokemon survive, their attacks are worsened just because. It got to go first with Discharge, which additionally gives a Lightning Rod effect to Marowak. When my 2 attacks finally go, Rock Slide does barely anything and Stone Edge missed. Marowak then Rock Slides us and Aerodactyl is already gone. From here, I literally have no hope. Everything is slower than Manectric. Greninja and Heracross both go down, and from there, Vanillix and Houndoom come in. They both take another huge hit from discharge, and though they survive and Houndoom kills Marowak, we're down 3 to Sirius's 1. To replace Marowak is Tyrantrum. I almost always sleep on that thing, but it is a huge issue here. It's so fast compared to me too, and my remaining team is cleaned by these two. This brings up a really annoying problem. I want to switch my team members. Know how I can do that? By going all the way back through the previous puzzle room, which has mostly all reset, and change it Florinia, only to have to come back and do the entire puzzle again. I do not want to do this more than necessary. Sadly, I only saw half of Sirius's team, but the good thing about that is, he didn't send out 2 of the teammates I know he has thanks to story scenes, Chandelure and Seviper. That means I have to hope that whatever I bring back can also deal with Sirius's last unknown. What I decide to do is change Aerodactyl and Galvantula for Camerupt and Slowbro. I can't deal with these speeds, so I need to go Trick Room. However, I'm nervous about Slowbro against Manectric, but it has to be this way. What's good is that Camerupt will get to be immune to Manectric and hit it with weakness. After plowing back through the Ruby puzzle room again, we start the second attempt. Slowbro can't be taking extra damage from Camerupt, so I use Earth Power on the Manectric, while Slowbro will hopefully survive to use Trick Room. What's good is that even though Slowbro is rocked by discharge and Camerupt nearly died to a Shadow Bone, Camerupt's Earth Power, getting around the Intimidate, knocks out the Manectric in one hit. Even though Slowbro got paralyzed, she still starts Trick Room, so we have the tempo for the moment. Unfortunately, a Shadow Ball and Earthquake from my side do jack to the Tyrantrum and Marowak, and both my Pokemon go down. What's even worse is that now, Marowak is pretty slow, and decimates my Greninja and Houndoom immediately. My last 2 Pokemon, Vanillix and Heracross, fare even worse by the fact that we're on a fire-advantaged field. That attempt left me very worried. Even though I can dismantle Manectric, what the hell am I doing after that? I decided that maybe I need to get Slowbro in there later, after my faster Pokemon were down. The problem is Manectric, but when I put Houndoom up front, he manages to survive the discharge, then go before Marowak and kill it with 1 Dark Pulse. Camerupt wrecks the Manectric again, and now we're 2 ahead. This has Sirius bring out his Tyrantrum again, along with his last unknown Pokemon, Minior. Here's why Houndoom went up front. I figured if he could kill the Marowak, then I could get some gravy with a Destiny Bond. That's exactly what I get. Houndoom is fastest, Tyrantrum is second fastest, and Tyrantrum kills Houndoom and itself. Unfortunately, I didn't plan this very well, ending up Earth-powering Minior for a whiff. Out next is the Chandelure though, which only presents me with another problem. While I was trying to Sub-Zero Slammer the Minior to remove Dragon's Den, the Chandelure went first and used Heat Wave, killing both of my Pokemon. Oh. I left the Water EMZ on Greninja by accident, so I tried to break the field with him, but the damn Minior goes first and takes out Greninja. Heat Wave almost kills Slowbro, who Trick Rooms, and now I have only Heracross left. A Surf from Slowbro and Stone Edge both cut off the Chandelure from acting again, but Slowbro is finished off by Rock Slide, and Heracross is nearly dead to Hail. She's now faced with Sirius's last Pokemon, Seviper. Shittily, it's slower than Heracross, so it drains her last drops of HP. Is this progress? I don't know. The next attempt, after bowling over Marowak and Manectric, I decide to save Camerupt for later and switch into Slowbro now. Houndoom and Tyrantrum trade, and Minior only got a weak Rock Slide on Slowbro, though of course it crits. Then I bring out Greninja to use Hydro Vortex, and this time, since the Minior did not yet Shell Smash, Greninja got to go first and blast Chandelure and Dragon's Den with Hydro Vortex. But the fucking light fixture survived. Thankfully, by getting rid of Dragon's Den, Chandelure's Heat Wave was not strong enough to kill either of my Pokemon, and Minior just Shell Smashed. For this, Trick Room is installed. Greninja Water Shurikens to avoid going last, and Slowbro's Surf swamps both of the water-weak Pokemon. Greninja goes down to it too, but he has done a great service to this battle. Now the battle is a 2-on-1, a Seviper staring at a Slowbro and a Mega Camerupt in the middle of a Trick Room. Needless to say, the fight is won. Whew, there were a lot of annoying factors to consider in that fight. Sirius could be anti-Trick Room if he wanted, but he had more than enough speed to charge over me. Thankfully, I managed to thread this needle and avoid a second Blake level number of resets. My last file used the exact same team against Sirius as I did against Blake. I don't remember how bad it was to beat Sirius with this team, but I know it wasn't easy. Once again, 3 out of 6 of my previous team were here again today, though Vanillux honestly had nothing to do in this fight. Sirius did represent the most diverse team we're going to see in Victory Road, as well as the Elite Four, but not the most diverse in this episode. When the fight is concluded, Sirius asks how he's supposed to live with all that he's done. Saphira doesn't expect him to. Live, that is. With a simple shove, Sirius's life is ended. Now, after being abducted below Chalcedon, Aya is finally free as Saphira leaves to console her sister. Hardy and Aya are reunited, but at this, Hardy finally realizes how ineffectual he really was. He didn't do anything in the end that actually saved Aya. He doesn't know how he can say to Aya that he will make everything alright now. However, Aya says that it's better this way. If he had been the hero, she'd have only questioned why she deserved it. Now, though, she knows he does care about her like no one else does, and wants him to be with her. They then turn to me and thank me for dealing with Sirius, Hardy thinking he probably could have done it if he had taken the chance, but goes on to ask that we take out Meteor once and for all. With this, we only have to find the ruby stars in this room to complete the ultimate puzzle back where Florinia is. Pick up the 3 of them throughout the room, catch a shiny haunch crow, then teleport back to the darker hub to eat a light shard, and return to Florinia. Now that we have the requisite items to unlock this final door, Florinia gives us the instructions for how to solve the machine. There are 14 crystal lights on the wall ahead of us. The 7 on the left will glow yellow for each star we insert that is a correct color for the entire machine. To that end, if we put in 7 stars and 4 crystals light yellow, then 3 of those stars are colors that shouldn't be in the machine. On the right, those crystals will glow white if the star in a slot is the correct color. That means that 7 white lights means the puzzle is solved. Now what's interesting about this puzzle is that the solution I'm going to enter is randomized. What I put in is almost assuredly not the solution you will enter. Instead, let me give you some tips about how to find the number and colors of stars you need to insert. First, don't try to fill all 7 slots at once. Instead, start by putting in 1 star of a color, then stepping on the pressure plate. That gives you feedback, and you can use that to learn which colors you need to enter to solve the puzzle before figuring out their order. For me, I first put in 1 emerald, which gave me 1 yellow and 0 white crystals. That means I need at least 1 emerald in my solution. But when I put in a second emerald, I still only get 1 yellow light. So that means that there's exactly 1 emerald, and not in the 7th slot. Repeat this with all 4 colors to find out how many of each belong in the machine. As you go along, you may get some coincidental white lights, which will tell you right away which ones are correct if you're changing 1 crystal at a time. Once you know the 7 colors you need to use, repeat the process by figuring out what slot a certain color goes in that lights up a white light. Eventually, you'll deduce what each slot will be and press the panel. With this, Victory Road is complete. Well, there's a slight bit more. When you step through the waiting threshold, you'll receive 1 last gleam from your spirit tracker. The final spirit is waiting here too. But don't think that's who you're going to face first in this room, because there's 1 more loose end. That's right. Once more, fuck you, Fern. The shit jockey shows up once more to say he's impressed I got here, with all my luck and cheating. He then asks why I deserve to move forward, and when he makes my rebuttal for me why he deserves it more, he answers, fuck off. The sister to this asshole comes in now, but he wants nothing to do with Florinia. He demands that I fight him now, and says he'll steal my badges to take the league instead. So finally, after all the shitty remarks and attempts on our life throughout this dungeon, we'll finally get to lay the smackdown on this idiot. Unfortunately, whereas I expected a grass type to come out against Talonflame, instead it's Rhyperior. That sucks. The only thing he'll do now is set up Tailwind to die to Rock Tomb. When I try to bring out Greninja to easily kill the Rhyperior, Fern does a switch to Serperior. Surf does little, Extrasensory, he misses Leaf Storm. Dark Pulse changes the field to Dark Crystal. Then Greninja takes a Leaf Storm but somehow lives. He Water Shurikens down the Serpent, but Tailwind has already stopped. Now he's sending Crocodile when Greninja is pretty much done, so I send out Vanillux. He survives the Crystal Shattering Earthquake, but fucking Pulse 2 rears its ugly head again as Crook survives Blizzard. Vanillux goes down, and Hail is still another turn from killing Crocodile. When I brought out Greninja here for Water Shuriken, I realize he'll also just die to Hail. So I bounce again to Aerodactyl, thinking he'd avoid Earthquake, but this is a cave now, so he actually wouldn't. But instead of attacking, Fern also switches into Scissor. That's not amazing for Aerodactyl, and worse, this is a Mega Clash. His Scissor Mega evolves and bullet punches Aerodactyl down. Houndoom goes out and has to take one of those himself, but quads out the Mega Mantis. Crook is heading back to the field, so I decide I'll just have to give up Greninja. He Water Shurikens the Croc, then tires from Ice Pebbles. When I blind switch into Houndoom, he sends out Haxorus. Sadly, he's not fast enough to Destiny Bond, nor does he live Poison Jab. Galvantula almost found a way through with a boosted Bug Buzz, but it's not enough and he's crushed by rocks. Well, that was unfun, but putting Greninja up front will start the fight a lot better. Indeed, one Surf wipes out Rhyperior, sending in Serperior again. Aerodactyl goes out there and flies. Thankfully, Crystal Cavern allows that, and Serperior doesn't do a switch dodge and dies to the attack. Nice, damageless knockout so far, but next is Haxorus. This will be the time to use Tailwind, as it will let my team overtake its speed. Talonflame predictably falls to Rock Tomb, but Vanillux can come in and Blizzard too. Come on. Why did you survive that? That wasn't even a Focus Sash. You know why? So Vanillux could dodge Rock Tomb just to fucking style on it. It dies to Hail, then Crocodile starts crawling out here. Greninja drowns the bastard with Hydro Vortex easily, which makes Fern want to send out his ace now, Decidueye. The Sniping Owl has been a pain in the ass the whole dungeon, but Aerodactyl is well suited to crunch this thing. He can't do it in one attack, but Aerodactyl is able to take 2 Shadow Sneaks and munch the Archer. That leaves Fern with only his Scissor. Like last time, Houndoom comes out to meet it, while Fern, for once, really starts freaking out that he's going to lose. Houndoom once again takes the bullet punch with ease, and Scissor is incinerated. Yeah, how about that, Fern? You were the easiest agent to beat. Even Zero took more tries. Gotta be happy to shut this fuck up in 2 tries. Oh, but who am I kidding? Fern's gonna keep talking. Before we have to listen to that, though, let's look at another screenshot. Not much different to report here, the same team as before, and half of them are alive. It goes to show that if I've learned anything, it's not to get stuck on the same teammates for every single battle. After the battle, Fern's still not satisfied, shooting off his mouth more about how he deserves to go on. Florinia then speaks up again and tells Fern that it's time to leave. Fern takes this to mean that she's against him too, as she always has been, he claims. She denies this, but Fern won't hear it, turning back to me to tell us why he wanted this over me. He says that it would mean that perhaps people would smile at him. He makes another really unlikely claim that Florinia would get all the credit for good things he did from their parents' perspectives, and he would get blamed for her wrongdoing. Florinia wouldn't smile at him, nor would other students, even when he became so-called top dog. He said then they were too afraid to smile at him. But he says he'd just do the smiling himself, and whatever challenge he faced, he would make something worth smiling about. That's when he brings Lynn into it. He is fully taken by her plan, that this world has too little worth, but invoking her name. Thus does Lynn herself appear now. The only meteor left we haven't fought says this world's only truth is scarcity, that all resources and compassion are finite, and that though Arceus created this world, it should not be accepted. She has the arrogance to believe that she could guide Arceus to make a new world that has no limits. The shitty weasel Fern runs over to her now, then making another outrageous statement, that I'm somehow to blame for him being in Meteor, because I beat him in a couple Pokemon battles. Florinia, of course, points out the obvious glaring flaw in his logic that I didn't do shit to make Fern be such a douchebag. Fern thinks that I was hogging all the glory for myself, and that everywhere he went after I was there, there would be talk about me. The 3 green-haired characters in this scene keep going back and forth on Fern's accusations against me. The 2 siblings oppose, while Lynn continues to egg Fern on or poke holes in everything Florinia says. Eventually, Fern turns on Florinia too, saying that the only thing he got from her was neglect. He yells at her why, if she knew he was not getting what he deserved, why didn't she do something about it? He ends with disgust, as he declares they'll make a world without us in it. But that's when Lynn counters his statement. When Fern gives his snark to the woman he so idolized, she repays him with a vicious strike. Fern falls to the ground as Florinia runs forward. Lynn announces that only the worthy may proceed. She turns and leaves and says that this world that she despises, she will finish. Florinia goes to Fern to check on him, saying that he's alive, but has a bad gash on his face. She has to extract him to get him medical attention, and says, like all the others, that it's up to us to stop Lynn. Victory Road is nearly finished, but head up these stairs and then double back. Down in this nook, we have one more battle to do, the 25th Spirit. And guess what field effect will see us off? Fucking glitch field. Plus doubles. This one was actually feeling good on the first try, even though I hemorrhaged several Pokemon early. Her Ditto Greninja took down her own Chandelure before it attacked again, leaving me with 1-on-2 against Haxorus, who then knocked both my Pokemon out with Earthquake. Cool. The reason I won on the next try was because I put Aerodactyl in front of Ditto, thinking that going Mega would make me faster. For some reason, no! The Ditto went first, but then missed us both with Rock Slide. That's why I won. After that, a Tailwind let me beat down the Haxorus and Chandelure. And finally, all 25 spirits in Victory Road have been quelled. Take the final steps to the exit in the east, and finally emerge from the longest dungeon in the game on Charis Mountain. At this point, I want to give kudos to Ame for the design of that dungeon. That was surely the Victory Road that Reborn deserved. The maps alone must have taken so long to draw and troubleshoot, let alone the puzzle design and execution. Your skill as a game designer deserves applause. This was a dungeon I will not forget. Now, we take in a silence, a calm before the storm. Walk around out here on top of the mountain to discover this massive statue of a dragon. The final field effect readout is in hand. It approaches. From the dragon to the northeast, we find the loneliest Pokemon Center. But before we enter, let's go back to the one on the other side of Victory Road and claim the final rewards from Azure. Extra copies of several items, Assault Vest, Focus Sash, Leftovers, Life Orb, and finally, the Catching Charm Emerald. Yeah, these rewards kinda started high and ended low, giving you a bunch of items you could buy had you got to the final floor of the department store, outside of the Catching Charm. With this, Azure says it's been a pleasure doing business and wishes us luck. We then return to Charis Mountain. After the trials of Victory Road, we now approach the ultimate test. The culmination of our gym challenge is here at the top of Charis Mountain, the Elite Four. Of course, like any Pokemon game, the Elite Four is a segmented gauntlet. That is to say, the team you go into the Elite Four challenge with is the one you must use to beat all opponents. There is no switching. Unlike a gauntlet like Glass Hell, this one is what I call segmented. Each Elite Four member waits for you to be ready, rather than rushing you after the previous opponent. That means you are allowed to heal, reorder teammates, change held items, and save between battles. Some people may consider a true Elite Four run to not allow saving, but I'm not such a person. This is fucking Reborn. We are not doing a gauntlet where the number of stages equals... Well, let's not spoil that. Now, there is something about this Elite Four that is special compared to any regular Pokemon game, besides the expectation of Reborn's field effects. As this kind clerk tells us, these four Heavenly Kings utilize 2 types, not 1. That does bode a lot worse than a vanilla Pokemon game. Of course, let me make a point here. She's only referring to the Elite Four. Keyword 4. Her advice does not extend to the person you may be expecting beyond those 4. What this all means is that your coverage needs to be very wide, and you'd better have an idea how you want your team to work together. If you go into this final league challenge with a ragtag, inflexible team, you'd better be ready to fail out. I have been considering for some time the team I've been preparing for the Elite Four, of course. I wouldn't say that I'm as worried about it as I was for Glass Hell. The bigger problem for me, though, is that, though I said that the Elite Four members each use 2 types, truth be told, except for one fight, I actually don't remember for sure what both of the types are that each opponent uses. Regardless of this, it's time to run down my team composition going into the Ultimate Challenge. That team composition revolves around one thing: Trick Room. Naturally, that means Slowbro is here. Slowbro is a great Pokemon to use with Trick Room to have flexibility with her other moves. As you can see, she has Blizzard now, which you'll see why that is soon. As for why I'm using Trick Room, when it comes to the Pokemon that are coming, I know that I'm unlikely to have better speed than them. It makes more sense for me to commit to Trick Room fully than try to think I can outspeed everything directly. So next up in that vein is Camerupt. Yeah, I've said before he's the ultimate Trick Room monster, and that is especially so in this challenge. Without spoiling it, Camerupt is going to be instrumental in at least one battle coming up. He'll do so, of course, with his typical moveset, which includes Earth Power. Keep that one in mind. But Slowbro and Camerupt won't be my only Mega Evolution choices. In fact, there are 2 more. The first being Houndoom. Now in Trick Room, Houndoom is not a good choice, but sometimes having raw speed will be nice in the cases where he can outspeed. Even for his speed, it's likely he'll still use Trick Room adequately. Houndoom is my get out of jail free card. In case there's ever something in a fight that is 100% walling me, then Destiny Bond may be my one way out. On to my last Mega Evolution, one that I've actually used way more than Houndoom, Mawile. Now that's more like it for Trick Room. She's got low speed and insanely high power. We've seen in a lot of fights why her Mega Form can decimate opponents, and even in situations without Trick Room, she can still use the bullshittiest move in the world. After this, we have Vanillux. There's a lot to expect out of the Clutch Master, especially in the first match. He's good in Trick Room, being slow enough in most cases, and his power has been proven over and over. But we have one more slot left, and for a team that is reliant on Trick Room, there's something I said last episode that made me realize who should fill this last spot. There's barely anything slower that's viable. Drampa. Oh yeah, the Berserk Dragon has unbelievable special attack power while being so slow that he could only work on Trick Room teams. But the true power of Drampa lies in his TM Learn set. His type coverage is ridiculously wide. The flexibility this brings when dealing with the Elite Four is so important, as it means that we should always have an option to pivot to in order to overcome a problem. Besides Slowbro, he's the slowest on this team, and with that flexibility and special attack, he can assuredly go first and blast something to hell. This is it. The team to surmount the strongest trainers in the land and help me ascend to the position of champion. The battles ahead are guaranteed to be harrowing, with teams built extremely well for the field effects they will use. However, knowing what I was able to do from last time, I have faith in this team to take care of the worst problems and deliver us to the summit of Charis Mountain. It's time. Leave the center and step to the right, up to the door that leads to the final test. Landing on the floating landmass way up in the sky, we are met by a familiar face. The first Elite Four we met, not that we knew at the time. Heather. She will also be our first Elite Four match. She tells us that she's been getting tired of waiting for us, told by Anna that she needed to be here. But then she changes her tune and expresses her gratitude to us. She says that Shelly and I have done a lot for her, even when she didn't deserve it. She says also that she has since found her father's journal, and learned that he tried to care for her in a way she couldn't understand. She thanks us, but quickly goes back to her usual impatient self. She knows why we're here, and she's ready to fight. With her catchphrase, the Elite Four begins. And of course, what would an Elite Four be without its own unique battle theme? Once again, the theme is composed by Glitch X City. What is it a remix of? This is not a remix. An original piece scores the Elite Four and encapsulates perfectly the same feeling as the Gym Leader theme, something Glitch X City created for Ame specifically. It's such a great piece. I've been looking so forward to hearing this again. Its first use will be against Heather, who leads with something very special. The final Pokemon we didn't find from Corey's team, his ace, Crobat. Thus, in the first Pokemon do we find out both of Heather's types, Poison and Flying. Up front though is Slowbro, and all she needs to do is use Trick Room. The thing is, I was nearly certain what Crobat's first move would be, and I was right. It was Tailwind. You just messed up, Heather. Even though we're on Mountain, which means that Tailwind starts strong winds which removes the Flying type's weaknesses, and lasts for longer than normal. It only means that Slowbro's Trick Room guarantees my side to go first for 8 turns. Better yet, I don't have to worry about using Blizzard with Slowbro after all without hitting weakness. I can just hit Crobat's other weakness with Psychic. When I do so, I find out that Crobat was holding a Focus Sash, but then it went for Brave Bird. It fails to kill Slowbro, and the recoil takes out her father's Pokemon. I am dug in now, as Heather goes to her next Pokemon, Gyarados. You know who it's time for. The Clutch Master. This will be his greatest moments. Gyarados won't be double weak to Freeze Dry, but if Vanillix can beat it, then we're going to see something amazing. Freeze Dry takes out the Gyarados. To this, Heather has been backed into a corner already, and is sending her ever-faithful ace, Salamence. You don't have to be told that this is a Mega Salamence, right? Right. Well, unfortunately, for Heather, this clinches the fight for me. Salamence is still single weak to Blizzard, and is taken down in one hit. The reason why Salamence was her worst choice? Now the mountain is snowy, and ice attacks are more powerful, and if the messages are accurate, then the change in field effect has reverted the strong winds effect for flying types. She sends Archeops. One shot. She sends Nidoking, paying homage to another poison leader who has been lost. One shot. And then she sends Gengar. With a switchback to Slowbro, we fire Psychic. One shot. Yes! I'm so happy this happened again. This was the exact same thing I did the last time I took on the Elite Four. I remember vividly that I won this fight on the first attempt, and I'm elated that I did it again, and better, I suffered no KOs. That's one better than my team from last time, which now informs you of my previous Elite Four team. Dusclops, Sigilyph, Blastoise, Camerupt, Vanillux, and Heracross. Dusclops could not survive through the battle like Slowbro did, but against a tailwinded team like Heather's, Vanillux, Sigilyph, and Camerupt would make quick work of the Maiden of the Wind and her team. Amazing start! Though Heather is steamed to have lost, hey, you could have picked something other than Mountain, right? She's implicitly impressed by my ability, but says there's much more to come. However, Before she allows us to continue on, she approaches us and hands us something. The ruby ring. What? Why? Also, what is going on with Lynn? Don't tell me you all let her pass you. All she says is that she wants it back, and then flies off, a bridge forming to give us passage onwards. I'm sure you'd find out in a hurry, but make sure you heal your team between members, including keeping an eye on power points. Vanillix used several blizzards, but not enough to warrant an ether yet. Ascend the mountain towards the next glowing door. You'll then find yourself in a darkened room with a pool. Go up the stairs, and you'll start to realize who you're going to see next. The decorations are all floral, bright, vibrant flowers adorning many trellises. It's right when the rain begins to fall that you might feel a sinking feeling as you meet the second Elite Four, Laura. She welcomes us to her garden, ready for the duel she knew we'd eventually have. She gives us thanks for the help we've given her and her sisters, particularly back in Glass Hell. But speaking of Glass Hell, we meet the second Elite Four member, Bennett. They explain that they reached a compromise. Rather than one or the other member taking this spot, instead, the two agreed to split the dual typing between themselves, but they will still only use 6 Pokemon in total. Laura again pleads us to treat Bennett not by his past mistakes. Bennett knows that he must change to keep up in this world. Now, the second Elite Four battle begins. The only one that is in doubles. But if you think it was Bennett or Laura that is the problem of this fight, you're mistaken. No, there's another, much greater foe in this fight. The penultimate field effect. The most complex in the game by a mile. And of course, a killing field. Flower Garden Field. As the double battle with Laura and Bennett begins, you are treated to another surprise. Unless you found that field effect readout at the bottom of Tanzan Cove. Let me start by saying, good luck ever remembering what's happening on this field. This is one of the most confusing fields, and is here only to crush you with teams perfectly suited to it, unless you exploit its weakness. The first thing to talk about is the concept of stages. No, not stat stages. The field itself has 5 stages, which determines the growth level of the field, both visually and mechanically in battle. The field starts at stage 1, and as it grows, the effects on the Pokemon in battle change. What grows or reduces the field? First, all of these moves grow the field by 1 stage, and the field will also grow 1 stage if a Pokemon with one of these abilities switches in. The field can also grow a stage if a synthetic seed is used. To reduce the field by 1 stage, you can use Cut or X Scissor. If you want to reset it to stage 1 from any stage, you can use Acid Downpour. There's another way to reset to stage 1, which involves changing the field of the battle. This could be done in a variety of ways, but something to keep in mind is that if that field can be terminated, then this field will return at stage 1. We'll come back to this later. Now you are probably itching to know what this field even does. Well, it does a lot, and for the sake of making this as understandable as I can, we'll go over the effects in order of stages, starting with what the field does on stage 1. As we go on, I'll try to mention what certain effects from previous stages end, but don't be upset if you feel confused. Believe me, we all feel the same. Stage 1. Usually I mention the seed effect at the end of the description, but it's simpler to mention it first, because it is always the same on any stage. Using a synthetic seed will raise special defense by 1 stage and imply ingrain to the user, along with growing the field as mentioned earlier. Other effects that are constant is that Flower Gift and Swarm are always on, and that Camouflage changes to Grass. Last for consistent effects is Rototiller, which now raises both attack stats by 2 stages both for all effective Pokemon and the user if they weren't already Grass type. The rest of the effects at stage 1 are as follows. Nature Power becomes Growth all the way through stage 4, and Growth itself raises both attacks by 2 stages through stage 2. Secret Power can lower evasion 1 stage through stage 2. Now, on to stage 2. At this point, global type boosts begin taking effect, with Grass gaining 10% power and Bug already gaining 50% power up into Stage 3. Overgrow will activate at 2/3 HP, and Harvest and Leaf Guard are activated at all stages from now on. At all stages above 1, Cut gets a 50% damage boost and will deal double damage to Grass types. Flower Shield will also raise special defense by 1 stage for the affected Pokemon, and give the user 1 stage of each defensive stat if they didn't get it already. Ingrain will restore 1/8 of the user's max HP each turn, which remains through Stage 3. Up until now, the effects have been pretty numerous, but not overblown and powerful. That's about to change. Welcome to Stage 3. At this stage, Grass moves now have 30% extra power, and Fire moves have gained 50% power at this stage and above. Overgrow has improved from 2/3 to Always On. Swarm's base power boost has increased from 50% to 80% at this stage and Stage 4. Flower Veil from now on and up will also reduce damage to the bearer and any allies by 25% regardless of type. Now this is getting serious. Secret Power has changed to decrease evasion, defense, and special defense by 1 stage each, which will be the case at Stage 4 as well. Growth is now at its best, increasing both attack stats by 3 stages, though this doesn't stack with Harsh Sunlight. Flower Shield has also reached its final form, now doubling the stat increases. Fluor Cannon, Petal Blizzard, and Petal Dance gain 20% power. Infestation will inflict 1/6 max HP each turn it is active. Sweet Scent will also lower both of the target's defenses by 1 stage. Finally, for all remaining stages, Floral Healing will restore all of the target's HP. Do you feel the vines creeping in, poised to strangle you? They're about to get even closer. Stage 4. At this point, Grass has reached 50% extra power, and Bugs have hit critical mass, now being double in power through Stage 5. What's even worse? Grass types no longer have weaknesses. Overgrow also gets the bonus Swarm got, increasing its power boost to 80%. Chlorophyll will be activated through Stage 5. Ingrain improves for the last time to healing 1/4 max HP per turn. Holy shit! The moves that got a boost in power earlier are 50% more powerful than vanilla, and will stay this way through Stage 5. Meanwhile, Infestation boosts again, dealing 1/4 max HP per turn. Sweet Scent's extra effect has doubled, lowering defensive stats 2 stages. If you do not control the fight with any of the methods I mentioned at the beginning, then basically assume that you will always be facing opponents while the very worst effects are active. Of course, these effects occur at the 5th and final stage. At last, Grass moves join Bug moves in having double power. Swarm and Overgrow reach peak form by further doubling the power of their respective moves, meaning all Grass moves on an Overgrow Pokemon have quadruple power by default. Nature Power finally blooms to become Petal Blizzard, while Secret Power will lower evasion, special defense, and defense by 2 stages each. The Infestation has grown uncontrollable, dealing 1/3 max HP each round. Sweet Scent grows in power once more, to lowering the affected stats by 3 stages. Finally, these moves will target both opposing Pokemon in a double battle, which, need I remind you, you're in. There you have it. The ultimate form of the Flower Garden, an absolute nightmare of a field, a quintessential member of the Killing Fields. Let's recap what you'll be facing if you take no precautions against the growth of the garden. Essentially, all grass types are either twice or 4 times as strong and have no weaknesses. Bug types are similarly as strong and boast horrible utility moves like Infestation, Spore, and other ailment powders. The strongest grass moves are amplified even further, and the effect of synthetic seeds going off gives each user 4 leftovers per turn. Stat changes are completely out of control on this field, with Growth and Flower Shield absolutely walling you while Seat Scent opens you completely up. Beyond this, there are so many other lesser interactions that can constantly ruin you. And for one final monstrous design choice, this fight specifically against Laura and Bennett has built-in rain, meaning fire moves, though they do get stronger, are overall weaker. This also dampens the best strategy you have to deal with this entire field, which is essentially to not deal with it at all. Remember what I said earlier about generating other field effects over this one? What do you think would happen if you could get rid of the rain and then use one of these moves? Provided the field has grown to stage 3, which by the way, it does immediately. The garden burns down. Good job traumatizing Laura again, but let me make something perfectly clear. You need to burn this field to the ground. This fight is inextricably linked to this field, but before we talk about the battle itself, let's conclude this field description. It's obvious how much thought went into this field, and it is a crazy field that can make the typically least liked starter type become unmatched. It boasts one of the highest depths in the game, and its depth is strongly tied to its difficulty. It won't be perfect in either one, only because it can be completely dismantled. But when it comes to fearsomeness, there isn't much better. Depth, 9. Difficulty, 9. This field was made for this Elite Four battle right here, right now. There is only one way to beat it, and that is to take away their insanely powerful tools and instead use a field that is a complete hell for them. To do this, though, you'll need to get rid of the rain. I'll explain how I plan to do this momentarily. However, one more thing needs to be mentioned. If you put out the burning field, then the flower field remains underneath, reset to stage 1. In the end, after catastrophe, life can begin again. Just like Reborn. So as I already said, the fight began with both of our opponents, Galvantula and Whimsicott, using synthetic seeds, so they are ingrained, have more special defense, and grew the garden to stage 3. I have Houndoom and Slowbro out front immediately. However, I put Slowbro there to hopefully bait grass and bug attacks to the Pokemon who I'm going to switch Slowbro with, Vanillux. When that happens, Snow Warning will change the rain to hail. Even though it doesn't make sense to start a fire in snow either, Houndoom would then be able to use Heat Wave to turn this beautiful field into an inferno. But this strategy is gutted right from the start. Bennett did not think to use Bug Buzz on Slowbro, but Houndoom, and it kills him. That's debilitating for me. Vanillux only took a Giga Drain for a third, but I'm in a really bad spot. I'm not down and out though. I have one more chance, Mega Camerupt. In order for this to work, I need to get Trick Room started as soon as possible, so I switch Vanillux back to Slowbro, since Lava Plume is going to hit everything if Camerupt gets that far. Sadly, Slowbro doesn't even survive one Bug Buzz. But Giga Drain against Camerupt is not enough, and with an explosion of lava, both of the enemy Pokemon are knocked out, and the Flower Garden is torched. Sorry, Laura, I've got to do this if I want to win. Of course, into a burning field, Bennett sends his ace, Volcarona. I'm in a bind with my second Pokemon. Two of them are very vulnerable to fire, and Lava Plume will waste them just as easily. I decide to use Mawile first, whose only chance to do anything before dying is Sucker Punch. Laura's next Pokemon is Venusaur. I throw Sucker Punch at Volcarona since it will likely not die to Lava Plume, and it does a third, which only gets a Fiery Dance from Volcarona to take her out. However, to my great fortune, the attack that Venusaur got to go first with was Hidden Power, and for some reason it was Fire type. Camerupt survives this too, erupts again, and actually kills both Pokemon again. Wow, this is going way better than I expected with no Trick Room. Sadly, Hail chips away Camerupt a bit more, making a third attack very unlikely. Bennett sends his final Pokemon out, being both of the types of this Elite Four battle. Leavanny. By the way, this was the fight I remembered both types of, which should be pretty obvious since there were two trainers. Before I see Laura's last Pokemon, I send out Drampa, and her ace appears, Lilligant. This was when I looked at Drampa's moveset and found that it's garbage for this fight. Ice Beam? Thunderbolt? Well, Hyper Voice hits neutral on both, so here we go. Holy shit! One Hyper Voice almost killed, and then Burning Field finished the job. That was nuts. 4 turns. on an attempt I was sure was a loss. Once Houndoom went down and Slowbro couldn't Trick Room, I figured there was no way Camrup did everything. But then he blasted 4 of them away, and Drampa comes in to make the biggest impression on his first fight. This was a personal victory for me. If you could believe it, I won this fight on the first try as well on my previous file. I was so stunned when I beat the first 2 Elite Four battles in one try, so I came into this today hoping so much for a repeat, and I got it. Last time, the strategy I did today worked a lot better, because I just used Trick Room first after making it hail. Then Camrup came in and lava plumed unperturbed, wasting their entire team with ease. Thankfully, Laura did not hold it against us to burn down her garden, as Bennett does what he did when we first met him, and asks if we know what this bug term is. This time I learned, and I say yes. I totally did not know what it meant, but I got the relationship point. Laura hopes that our future struggles will only help us to grow, and Bennett then comes forward, along with Laura. They bestow on us the key with the most troubled history, the sapphire bracelets. Bennett says we still have a ways to go, and then gives us one request. Thrash the next trainer especially well. That should clue you in immediately. What should also help a lot is when you step through the door to the next chamber. As soon as you start ascending the stairs in this dark, gothic room, with the iconography very apparent, you'll know that next, we face the only remaining Elite Four member we already know. As well, the only one who was our enemy, and one last remaining meteor, Elias. However, when he greets us, acknowledging our fights against madness and monsters, he hopes that we do not think of him as the latter. He bears his shame that he has failed in protecting his lord, and thus, his contract with Meteor is annulled. He only works for his lord Arceus, and surely not for the woman that murdered his master. Elias understands now that I am the only one who can stop Lyn, and believes this to be a blessing from Arceus. He says he has to entrust retribution for Solaris' death to us, and furthermore, like the 3 before him, will wager his key, the Emerald Brooch. We will see who destiny favors. Now comes the first Elite Four battle I was dreading, because from this point on, my previous file did not execute these battles well. Elias, as if the surroundings didn't give it away, uses Holyfield. This will be its first true application as a killing field, and he leads with Noivern. That's an UG and a half. But you know what outspeeds a Noivern? A Houndoom with a Choice Scarf. Houndoom gladly sacrifices himself to get this beast out of my way. Indeed, Boom Burst, like at the circus, is boosted here, and easily kills Houndoom, but Noivern is dead. At this point though, Trick Room is my only option, so out goes Slowbro. Here's Dragonite. Depressingly, Dragonite's Outrage one-shots Slowbro. Shit, that's probably it. Holyfield boosts Dragon-type moves too, so there's not a lot most of my team can do. Idiotically though, I sent out Vanillux into a Pokemon stuck using a Dragon move. He's not faster and is one-shot too. Yeah, you know who is better? Mega Mawile. She absorbs the Outrage, and thanks to Hail chipping away the multiscale, calculated, Play Rough knocks out Dragonite. But next is the only Pokemon of Elias's we've fought before. Ditto. Oh boy. Who has the best mirror match here? I'm going to go with Drampa. Unfortunately, the imposter Ditto taking on the form of my Drampa is holding a Choice Scarf, so it would easily go first and kill my Drampa. Mawile though, even against a Choice Scarf enemy, is faster and kills it too. By the way, it's time you know why I picked Drampa. Well, it's mostly because of this fight. You see, Elias also has a Drampa, and that thing fucked me up when I used Trick Room. In this case though, there is no Trick Room. Mawile just beats this one up the same way. By now you may have deduced Elias's 2 types, Dragon and Normal. You may think Normal a weird type for an Elite Four member. Say that to this Kangaskhan. Yeah, you know there's no way a Kangaskhan shows up in a battle in Reborn this late, unless it's a Mega Kangaskhan. Aggravatingly, the mother goes before Mawile can use Brick Break and doesn't kill with Earthquake, but her child's secondary attack does finish off Mawile. Camera Up comes out and tries to use Inferno Overdrive, but is of course outsped and taken out by one return, the child not needing to attack two. Well, there's the first loss of the Elite Four. I totally expected this one, but I did pretty well for a first attempt. On the second attempt, I decide I need to see if Slowbro can survive against Noivern for a Trick Room. She can! Really important. I just put Blizzard on her, and luckily, she lands it on Noivern and kills. Dragonite is next, so I go to Mawile, and hope Multiscale isn't enough for it to survive her Play Rough. Oh, come on, man! 1 HP away! Mawile going down is a bummer, but Vanillix can easily ice out the Dragonite. Now comes Elias's Drampa, which means it's time for my Drampa to shine. For you see, there's a big flaw in the way Reborn sets up anti-trick rumors. This Drampa has max speed IVs. That's worthless to it. Meanwhile, my Drampa has a shit speed IV and a quiet nature. By the fact that you're statistically better, you're worse. Get Dragon Pulsed. After that is the Mega Con again. I decide to leave in Drampa, hoping to Focus Blast it. That's when I found out I'm stupid for putting a choice item on Drampa when he's supposed to be a coverage Pokemon. Because of this, I'm forced to use Dragon Pulse again, but even with all the boosts, it's not enough to stop the mother and child, and they beat Drampa. I think that it will be a simple cleanup using Camerupt, but instead, Elias full restores the duo, and Earthquake only brings it down half. For that, I have no other option but to use the Z move, Inferno Overdrive, to take down the Kangaskhan. Now, Trick Room has run out, but all is not lost yet. Slowbro is still alive, and a Como-O is approaching. She couldn't survive an attack from the pseudo-legendary without full HP, so I switch out from her to regenerate her health back to Camerupt, and I'm absolutely paid. Into my sack target, Como-O uses its Z move, Clangorous Soul Blaze. However, its Quint buff makes me nervous about Slowbro surviving anymore, so I go for a different route. Houndoom is also still alive with the Choice Scarf, and he outspeeds! Destiny Bond drags the dragon down. With only 2 of my Pokemon left, I send out Slowbro for Trick Room, only to remember what the last Pokemon is. It was Ditto. Yeah, there won't be any Trick Room now. This is a weird mirror match. Neither of us can hurt the other very much, but I know that my Slowbro is probably going to faint first. All I can hope for is a special defense drop from Psychic before that happens. I don't get it, but by the time we're done trading shots of powered up Psychic, I had landed a crit, and the Ditto has 1 scrap of HP left, and Vanillux is my last. Even with Elias's last-ditch effort to full restore Ditto Bro, Freeze Dry blasts it back to where it was, and a second one ends the fight. Second try Elias. I am amazed by how much better that fight was compared to last time. I was miserable on this one. I remember that Trick Room was so important for my team, but that fucking Drampa was destroying me. My Elias screenshot shows this one ended far closer than the previous 2, and let me tell you, this one probably racked up a couple dozen attempts. Elias recognizes my power and will, and hands over the Emerald Brooch. All Elias can hope now is that, wherever my destiny takes me, maybe Luna is somewhere along that way. This will of course mean you can go on to face the final Elite Four member, one that, to this point, has not been definitively identified. The chamber you pass through, though, on the way to them, is very disconcerting. In a room barely constructed is a shambles of blocks, discarded dolls, buzzsaws, and this very off-putting sight. But throughout this game, the context clue should have told you exactly who to expect here. After all, There are two people you have met that you have not yet faced. Lynn and the final Elite Four, Anna. We finally meet her here, and she is happy we made it. She then apologizes for going off so suddenly, but knew that we'd reach here. That's why Nostra chose me. Then Anna says she needs to explain a lot. The crux of the matter is this. This isn't the first time this has happened. No, that's not a joke about my playing this game 4 times. This battle against Meteor had occurred before. As absurd as that sounds. Anna says she can't even vouch for this herself. She doesn't remember. She only knows what Nostra told her. In this previous time, she says she made a wish to save the world. The power required to do such a thing caused Nostra to become as she is now. The wish ended up bringing me to Anna. Anna continues this idea that she had been controlling an entire timeline based on what her doll was telling her, only for unexpected things to keep derailing their plans. She says the only thing that mattered in the end was making me strong enough to challenge Lynn. Before, according to Anna, Lynn was far too powerful. This time, she's confident things will be different. Only one more test remains in order for her plan to be fully realized. Can any of this possibly be true? There's no way. Regardless, there is one truth to this. In order to become the champion, we must defeat the number 1 contender to it. Now we come to the second Elite Four battle that just wouldn't stop beating me last time. Anna's fight is going to be awful, because it's time for another killing field to get a real fight. Starlight Arena. This won't be just a single pulse hypno. Now we have to face a team fully invested in this arena. Anna leads with something I don't need to rehash why it's horrible. Alolan Ninetales. On Starlight Arena, it doesn't even need to use Hail to use Aurora Veil, but Houndoom is up front. Can he outspeed and kill it with Heat Wave? Really? You had to go and miss right now? I had the speed! In response, an ultra-buffed Moonblast vaporizes Houndoom. My plan in this fight is scrambled. I don't even want to use Trick Room yet, instead going to Mega Mawile to Iron Head for quad damage. And there's the Aurora Veil, but Mawile still kills it and she has Brick Break. Unfortunately, she can't use it against Anna's next Pokemon, Metagross. I keep her there to use Sucker Punch instead, and hope. Yeah, I'm going to need a lot more hope. Mega Metagross. Even boosting Sucker Punch did only a quarter to Megagross, who then mashes Mawile. Slowbro has to come out if Camerupt will have a shot to kill that. She somehow does survive the next Meteor Mash and starts Trick Room. I wish I had put something useful on Slowbro right here, except that Bullet Punch makes it pointless anyway. Camerupt though is cleared for Inferno Overdrive, taking down the Mega Pseudo. Up after that though is Gardevoir. I'm pretty much out of options here, trying to use Drampa's Hyper Voice, but it does poor damage. Vanillix comes out next, and remember, Starlight Arena's attack boosts are removed if weather begins, so Hail now makes many of Anna's moves worse. What's great is that Vanillix dodged the Focus Blast Gardevoir went for and can kill with another Blizzard, until its wish came true from the seed it used. Vanillix loses to the next Focus Blast, but somehow I still claw my way through with Camerupt, killing the Gardevoir with Earthquake. This was right after Aurora Veil finally ended, but even with Trick Room still up, against a Starmie, Camerupt cannot beat it with an Earthquake, and we suffer a defeat against Anna. So, remember how the first turn of the fight I missed Heat Wave? What do you think will happen if it lands? I get a fucking one-shot. That's more like it. This, however, coaxes out something we didn't see last attempt. Sylveon. By now, the two types for Anna are established as Fairy and Psychic. I go to Slowbro to start Trick Room, only to be one-shot by a crit-boosted Swift. Swift! Great, this is really bad now. I had put Sludge Bomb on Houndoom for this fight, but that did way too little to matter. I should have gotten the trade with Destiny Bond. I then go to Mawile and then make a play mistake. I use Play Rough against it instead of Iron Head, which is a big shame because Mawile survives Swift. She also missed the Play Rough. But then Vanillix goes out and puts an end to Swift being so powerful, also putting up a light screen. I then switch to Drampa and go to war with Sylveon, hitting it with Berserked Hyper Voices, only for Anna to full restore it and eventually take my Drampa down. Sylveon ends up hitting Camerupt next with a crit Shadow Ball, which only lets him return with a maximize attack Earthquake to beat the evolution. Starmie returns once again to my Vanillix and Camerupt, and when Vanillix doesn't survive a Psychic, we move to the next attempt. So remember how the second turn of the fight I got crit by Swift? What do you think will happen if it doesn't crit? Slowbro survives in Trick Rooms. But then somehow I made the same mistake with Mawile. What the hell am I doing? These are precious turns of Trick Room. Finally, I hit Sylveon with Iron Head and kill it. Next out is Mega Gross again, but Inferno Overdrive melts it down. Gardevoir will come out again, and Mawile is easily able to crush it with Iron Head too. Starmie is next, and with Trick Room still going, I can use Vanillix to Freeze Dry. It kills! Now Anna's final Pokemon will not be able to use the field effect boost while Hail is falling. That final Pokemon is... Wait. It actually is Jirachi? What can this mean? The mythical wish-granting Pokemon? Is what Anna said really true? Then, what is the true nature of this conflict with Meteor? What is going on in Reborn? As it stands in this moment though, in battle, Jirachi, a Psychic Steel type, is faced with a Camerupt in a Trick Room. With Hail obscuring the sky, it doesn't have access to all of its power, among them being that little thing I mentioned before. Its Doom Desire is 4 times as powerful and Fire type. But despite it being weak to ground, it is a mythical and manages to survive Earthquake to answer with Psychic Z move, Shattered Psyche. Camerupt faints and my Trick Room has left me. But I still have a Choice Scarf Houndoom. Heat Wave brings down Jirachi. The Elite Four have been defeated. This was an unbelievable performance so far. I lost to Anna even more than Elias. Her team is monstrous on Starlight Arena, but I had so much more type coverage this time to take down her worst teammates, notably the Gardevoir and Sylveon. Last time it came down to scraps of HP again. It was a hard-fought win, and to think it only took 3 attempts to beat Anna this time. I'm so happy with the way this team has pulled through. With our battle over, Anna tells Nostra to rest now, having earned it after so long. Anna then thanks us too, and hands us the last key, the Amethyst Pendant. She tells us to trust her on this. She says, for everyone's sake, I have to win. I will. Head up one final flight of stairs. I walk down a narrow hallway, into a room with a simple arena floor. I step into the challenger's box. Across from me, Lynn. She sees our arrival as predictable, and says there's nothing more to say. Then she tells us something terrible. The final pulse machine is ready. What? There's no way. I have the keys. She dares us now to see for ourselves. At long last, we face Meteor's champion, Lynn. Many aspects of the fight hit you at once. First, that Lynn stole the Cynthia theme, but that's not the only thing she stole. Second, the field is standard. There is not a field effect in this fight. Lynn's first Pokemon, it turns out, is the same opener as Anna's, Alolan Ninetales. My Houndoom leads the same as before too, But there's a difference between this Ninetales and the last one, as Heatwave lands. Pulse 2. This Ninetales does not die to Heatwave, but it has an eject button and is replaced by... If a battle in Pokemon Reborn uses this music, it has a Garchomp in it. But what's worse is that you may realize that this is the same Garchomp we faced all those other times. Yes, this is Solaris's Garchomp. The other effect of Pulse 2 is now shown. That Ninetales was also stolen from Ame. To Garchomp, I can't use Destiny Bond because of Choice Scarf, so I switched to Drampa as a probable sacrifice. He's hit with Earthquake and lives, but obviously is slower and falls to the second one. Slowbro goes out to Trick Room, only for Lynn to switch Pokemon herself. It's Gardevoir. That Gardevoir. You'd know for sure when it Mega Evolves. We have Trick Room, but Blizzard fails to freeze the controlled Gossip. And Surf doesn't quite bring it to yellow before Slowbro faints. My Mega comes out next though, Mawile, and easily defeats Gardevoir. My outlook is pretty bad though. I've only knocked out one of Lynn's team to my 2, and next out is Delphox. Another Pokemon pilfered from one of her victims. Ace's Pokemon. Camerupt meets it and uses Trick Room to nail it with Earthquake, but it lives, and its Psyshock takes out Camerupt immediately. I'm treated to disappointment when Mawile attempts to Sucker Punch the Fox to finish it, when Lynn full restores it. However, Delphox appears to be choiced because it uses Psyshock again, and can't kill Mawile, and 2 Sucker Punches beats it. But this has taken far too long. Trick Room is over, and Solaris's Garchomp is coming back now. However, even with a Pulse 2, it turns out that Garchomp still cannot beat or survive his arch nemesis, the Clutch Master. Ninetales is then being forced to return, and Houndoom can outspeed it to take away the rest of its HP. That leaves one final stolen Pokemon, the one she took from her victim in Agate City, Samson's Conkeldurr. This is very unfortunate for me, as it has Mach Punch, which can beat my worn-out Vanillux. What's worse is that Conkeldurr is faster than Mawile, who is Drain Punched down. That means Houndoom is toast, because Mach Punch is super effective against him. Ran out of gas right before the Pulse, but I think if we clean up Trick Room turns, we can take a shot at her final Pokemon. The first turns happened the same way, where I harmed Ninetales and sacrificed Drampa against Garchomp. Slowbro surfs Gardevoir twice to avoid letting Mawile take damage, and my Mega takes out Gossip. This time, instead of Earthquake, Camerupt is now holding Groundium Z and crushes Delphox with Tectonic Rage. Now when Garchomp comes back, Vanillux gets to go first and take it down without damage. This leads back into Conkeldurr, who Mawile has the best shot to beat. Conkeldurr still goes first with Mach Punch, but that doesn't kill Mawile, who plays rough with it to one-shot it. I leave Mawile in to take out the last shred of Ninetales' HP, and that means we only have one left. Lynn's Pulse. A Pulse Pokemon that starts with the letter A. I lost my Trick Room at the worst time, but I leave in Mawile. It's time to fight Abra? Huh? Lynn tells the Abra, which sits in the back of this room, that it has one final task. It performs the only task that Lynn wanted Abra to do in the first place. Teleport herself and me. When I come to, I find myself being bull-rushed into the door in the caverns beneath the grand stairs. That's when, around the doors, the lights corresponding to the 4 keys begin to light up. Lynn derides us and our friends for coming to her after getting all of the keys from them. Because of this, the door opens, and Lynn quickly enters. Then for some reason, I start trying to back away and run. What? Who says? I'm doing this! She agrees, and we are drawn in. Lynn speaks that this could have happened a long time ago if Eve had managed to do this sooner. But then Lynn changed her plans. She then says that soon, we will be free. We find ourselves in the cavern that we entered by accident, that leads to the Cité Astra. Lynn continues speaking, telling us she understands her role as a villain, but she believes her path is not self-righteous or in self-interest. We follow her into the Cité Astra, but upon entering, the grand architecture disappears for a moment, replaced by a strange image, looking like outer space. Lynn knows we want answers, but she won't give them. After all, parents can't explain everything in the world to their children, let alone their dolls. In the next room, beginning to ascend the tower, Lynn claims now that she has the power of a god. She says her power is of a child god, however. We advance further, using the emerald brooch, and we find ourselves in another of the logic rooms we solved back in episode 10. The strange space keeps leaking into our vision, as Lynn tells us that all are dark at heart, all are corruptible. This room contains the oddish line of Pokemon, and like before, they each speak clues about what their fellow evolution members are, light or dark. But before you begin to even think about what their clues mean, think again about what Lynn said. They are all dark. Lynn continues how everyone can be corrupt, no matter how innocuous they are. She then says a line we heard her say in the void. Keep ascending the tower as your questions continue mounting. Lynn says that the world is broken, and it is time to sing it to sleep. One more room further, we reach the ultimate light and dark puzzle. All 8 evolutions. But there isn't a puzzle here. There is only what Lynn says the world is. Deception, pain, competition, destruction, mistake, attack, unloved, and should be remade. When the path opens, you ascend one more floor and find the last pulse decks. All of Meteor's pulses were destroyed. This is Lynn's pulse. Step out of the door to reach the top of the tower. When you walk south, you'll see the truth. The doorway that Elias stood in front of before is now open. A doorway into another world. Lynn stands there waiting for us, saying this door opened upon our contact with the door at the beginning with the keys. This world is now connected to our world. Lynn says that long ago, a young girl was trapped here with an old meteor. Within was a seed for a god. She raised it, and its power became hers. She says, though, that absolute power is pointless unless it is tested. Tested by me. Lynn tells us that I will be the one to step forward first, because I have to know what lies beyond. With no way to know otherwise, we step through the door, a blinding light and rushing sound emitting. Lynn has arrived too, into this strange realm, a vacuum of space, and says she will finally be answered. She yells out the name, Arceus, and lo, the god of Pokemon appears, glaring at Lynn. She speaks to the ultimate Pokemon that it will meet fate now. Familiar spears of light begin to point at Lynn, but then she suddenly launches the stone pillar from agate at Arceus. The spears disappear, and Arceus floats back before her. Her plan has succeeded. Arc Pulse has come to fruition. She has attained complete power and says it's time for it all to end. No, Lyn. You and I both know it only just begins. From darkness, from stardust, from memories of eons past and visions yet to come, welcome to the new world. This is it. Everything you have suffered through culminates to this very moment. The final showdown begins, a monumental clash of champions, taking place on a stage of completely alien origin. Along with this alien world is another track from Glitch X City. For the second time this episode, the masterful composer created an original track for Reborn. This is Reborn's champion theme. An absolutely perfect accompaniment for the final challenge. The climactic energy through the roof. It is here that you will bring about the end of this struggle. Fighting against the strongest opponent you've ever encountered. But she has brought you here to test your limits. Upon the final killing field. New World. New World is an oppressive place to be, as would be the case in the middle of space with barely any ground to stand on. The amount of strategic errata to learn here is vast, so let's get right into it for the last time. Grounded Pokemon on this field lose 25% of their speed. However, airborne Pokemon lose 10% of their defensive stats. Dark-type moves gain 50% base power, which is the only base-type increase, thankfully. However, like only a few scarce other fields, no other fields can be generated on top of New World, and weather cannot be generated or exist here either. The only thing that can be done to this field is to use Geomancy or Gravity to change it to its lighter sister, Starlight Arena. Keep in mind that Gravity only allows Starlight to exist while Gravity is active. As for the effects on abilities and moves, you'll find this place takes much from that sister field. Shadow Shield once again softens super effective hits by 25% of their damage, and Victory Star boosts damage dealt by the affected side by 50%. Jirachi once again finds a home here to make its signature move, Doom Desire, 4 times as powerful and gain a fire secondary type. Some of the same legendary and space-themed moves are double in power, though not as many as Starlight. But that slight reduction is more than made up for with the colossal list of moves that gain 50% more power. Look at this list! Nearly anything that boasts great power in the base Pokemon games is here, along with a smattering of more common moves including Secret Sword, Signal Beam, Earth Power, Flash Cannon, Dazzling Gleam, and so many others. But not everything is welcome in the New World, namely Bulldoze, Earthquake, and Magnitude. They lose 75% of their total power, leaving them pretty much useless. What is completely useless is Fissure, which will always fail. 2 non-damaging moves, Cosmic Power increases both defensive stats by 2 stages, and Flash will lower accuracy by 2 stages. Again like in Starlight. Nature's Madness now deals 75% of target's remaining HP as damage. Dark Void goes up to 85% accuracy. Heart Swap applies the effect of Pain Split. Lunar Dance on top of fully healing the recipient's HP and PP and curing status ailments, will also bestow a Quint stats boost. Moonlight will restore 75% of the user's max HP, which can't be impeded by weather since weather can't form here. Trick Room, Magic Room, and Wonder Room last for 8 turns. Nature Power becomes fucking Spatial Rend. Camouflage gets a special effect this time around, randomizing the type the Pokemon becomes. Secret Power may cause a Quint stats drop, lowering the 5 main stats by 1 stage. Finally, speaking of Quints, a Magical Seed will give a Quint raise to the user, at the cost of forcing a recharge turn. All of this comes together to form the setting of the final battle, and delivers a dramatic flourish for your confrontation of Lyn. This field will prove to be a massive hurdle to overcome, as the number of moves you'll need to weather is enormous. And of course, speaking of weather, the deactivation of a critical aspect of many strategies will leave you in a bad spot if you have relied on them to this point. After all, you've had to fight through 5 intense battles already. Whatever team you use from the start has to endure this field and the final challenge that is about to unfold. Furthermore, unlike most arenas you've seen to this point, there is no escape from the new world. Not even splintered storm shards will save you this time. The only way you can possibly escape is to use gravity and storm shards the Starlight Arena. What I'm saying is, you'd better get used to this place. Now, before I give the final depth and difficulty rating of the game, we have a final boss to beat. Let's do this. We now battle Lyn's true team, which starts with Mismagius. However, my Houndoom leads, and his Dark Pulse is boosted on New World. And with a Choice Scarf, he goes first and blasts it for a one-shot. That's a fantastic start. But all this gets from Lyn is her personal ace. The one she didn't just take control of. Hydreigon. I can't Destiny Bond again, so I have to switch. There's only one thing to try to use, and that's Slowbro. But I can't seriously believe that she will survive against the brutal Dark Pseudo-Legendary. Sadly, I'm correct, and Slowbro falls to Hydreigon. The fight is probably over now, but what I can still do is get Houndoom back in there and force that horrible beast to kill Houndoom and die to Destiny Bond. It uses Earth Power, which gets a boost and beats Houndoom. Now you know why I put Earth Power back on camera before coming here. Lyn and I are even, but without Trick Room, my chances are nearly 0. I send out Drampa, which gets Lyn to send a very unfitting Pokemon, Clefable. It's a foregone conclusion that it would go first and use a boosted fairy move, Moonblast, to take out Drampa. I bring out Mawile, but when I see this Clefable both attempt and land a Fire Blast like so many times in Glass Hell, I start to get mad. Until Mawile lives! She launches back an Iron Head and defeats Clefable. We are still tied, but this is when Lyn throws an impossible curveball. Her next Pokemon is Celesteela. What? An Ultra Beast? This presents a big problem. That is a bulky Pokemon, with a pain in the ass typing for me. Steel Flying. The only thing I can do is use Camerup's Lava Plume. I wished I had put Firium Z back on him, especially when I find that he lives its Flash Cannon, but can only do half. Celesteela beats Camerupt, and Mawile's Sucker Punch is not enough to bring down the Ultra Beast. With 2 Beast Boosts, Celesteela has Flamethrower to melt Vanillux and end the first attempt. I'm worried greatly that Hydreigon is coming out so soon. I don't want to put Slowbro up front because 8 turns of Trick Room won't last long enough for her whole team, but I would have to lose 2 turns to kill it like I just did. But then I remember, New World buffs Trick Room to 8 turns for free. This means Slowbro can hold something else in this battle. And finally, after all this time, we are going to truly use one of them. A Focus Sash. Mismagius remains an easy opener, and Hydreigon comes to bring infinite darkness to Slowbro. Of course, she now survives thanks to Focus Sash. All she has to do is dodge a flinch. She does! Now, she can hopefully hit a 70% blizzard for some damage. She lands it, taking half from the dragon, and goes down. Great showing, Slowbro. With Trick Room, we now have the advantage, and Mawile goes out to maul the Hydreigon. This one's for Ame. Lynn's Ultra Beast is coming out again, but then I realized I forgot to do something important. Put a fire move on Drampa. Instead, in a poor choice, I use Houndoom, who is outsped in Trick Room by Celesteela. Worse, Heat Wave doesn't kill. Mawile returns to Sucker Punch it, but it took 3 turns to defeat. I don't like this. Clefable will play again, and Mawile simply flattens its face with Iron Head. Trick Room is running out, but this leads Lynn to send out the only other regular she has left. Honchkrow. Fucking of course. With Mawile at full HP though, even if it wants to Sucker Punch her, she can take it and mangle the bird with Play Rough. Amazingly, it somehow did not want to abuse Sucker Punch. Mawile destroys it in 1 hit. That means there's only one opponent left. There cannot be an enemy more powerful than what we're going to see next. My chance to defeat it on this attempt, though, falls precipitously when my Trick Room ends. Meteor Champion Lyn is about to send in Arceus. The god of Pokemon appears before us, and we see Lyn's final pulse has perverted its form into a grotesque shape. The Arc Pulse joined the Mega Evolution-like power of a regular Pulse with a Pulse 2 to create the most powerful Pokemon, the highest base stat total of any Pokemon at all, Mega or not, and maximum IVs and EVs. The final Pulse Dex entry we received shows that every stat on this thing is off the charts, and Lyn's horrible beliefs are imprinted on it. To go along with that, there was one final effect of New World I left until now. The abilities RKS System and Multi-Type. The abilities of Silvally and Arceus specifically will cause their type to change randomly every turn. What can I possibly do to defeat such a mammoth power? Without Trick Room, probably nothing. I had put Camerupt out in front of it for one hope. Get it to roll Electric type as its type so that it could not use its signature move on Camerupt. Instead, it rolled the Grass type. And besides that, it didn't use the move I expected, but Dark Pulse, and that still one-shots Camerupt. It becomes Fighting type next, but when Mawile tries to go out there to play rough, it unleashes Judgment. She cannot survive that. And even though Arceus has a life orb that is hurting it, we will have no chance to finish it off. Drampa and Vanillix both fall against their god. We can only hope that bringing a Z move to the end of the fight to use on Arceus while Trick Room is up and hitting a lucky weakness, we can defeat it. To do that though, we need to get through Celesteela faster. For that, I put Fire Blast on Drampa and we begin again. However, this is when a frustrating aspect of my strategy dawns on me. There are several RNG checks. The first one being, Slowbro can't flinch against Hydreigon's Dark Pulse. The reset counter ticks again. On the next attempt, we defeat Hydreigon with Trick Room, and Celesteela is here. Now I send out Drampa, and now we must pass another RNG check, hitting with Fire Blast. He does! But it doesn't kill? Come on! It can't kill Drampa either, but that's one more turn more than could be optimal. Drampa takes down the Ultra Beast with another Fire Blast, and from here, Mawile defeats Lyn's other 2 Pokemon again, though suffering a Sucker Punch this time. That means it's time for Arceus again, and now we must overcome the last RNG check. But I don't want to gamble on hitting weakness with only one type using a Z move. Instead, I leave in Mawile, whose coverage with her moves and her great power may be able to do it right here. Arceus appears, and it rolls Fighting type. Play Rough hits! Oh man, barely half. That was my only chance to hit during Trick Room. But this is when I learned that's not true. I have one other way to hit Arceus without Trick Room. Houndoom with Choice Scarf. And you might be thinking you know exactly which move I'm going for. No, I won't win this fight with Destiny Bond. I have and will again win with my own power. Unfortunately, Arceus rolled Dark type. Heat Wave is Houndoom's best move then. It barely moves the meter. But at that low HP, its own Life Orb should kill it before it can beat all of my Pokemon. And that's when you get hit with one more Gut Punch. It knows Moonlight. 75% HP restored. Oh fuck. Drampa got to hit its Grass type with Fire Blast, but barely does a quarter. After this, I cannot hope that anything will stand up to Arceus. What?! Camerupt survived Dark Pulse? He used Tectonic Rage? No. We were so close. We were right there. But now, we are back again in the Cité Astra. We will have to climb back up to Arceus again. Celesteela is still a problem. So I try to increase Drampa's power from a Life Orb to a Choice Specs. All he needs is to get a one-shot. But the next attempt shows that not even Miss Magius is free. It survives on 1 HP on a range. Thankfully, it also flinched, so we move on to Hydreigon. After Trick Room goes up, I ended up misclicking Psychic somehow, so Slowbro doesn't hit the dragon with Blizzard. That shouldn't matter though, since Mawile can easily kill it with Play Rough, right? Wrong. If Hydreigon is at full HP, Lyn pulls it for Celesteela. To this, Mawile is very poorly matched, and we bleed more turns than any other time against it. No point in continuing. This means that hitting the Hydreigon with Slowbro is necessary. On the next attempt we do so, and this brings us back to the matchup between Drampa and Celesteela, only for Fire Blast to miss. Another RNG check failed. This means that Drampa takes a hit and his Berserk goes off, so for sure, Fire Blast will kill now. Fire Blast hits and does kill, though I'm not happy that I will only get one Trick Room turn now. Mawile breaks through the rest of Lyn's lesser life forms as she sends out her Supreme one again. This time, we just have to see Electric, Rock, Fire, or Steel as Camerupt goes out to it. It's fighting. What's worse is what the outlook of this is when Tectonic Rage hits Arceus. Even with weakness, there's no way that kills it. Arceus rolls Rock type, and my only chance at this point is to stun-lock the Arceus with Houndoom's Dark Pulses. He doesn't even get one flinch, but it keeps attacking my teammates, whittling itself down, while I have Mawile alive. Maybe with Sucker Punch I can steal this? No, Lyn was too smart, and used Moonlight to make Sucker Punch fail. The amount of damage Mawile did with Sucker Punch would have been enough too. Next attempt, Slowbro's Blizzard misses Hydreigon, resulting in Celesteela appearing for Mawile, ruining the attempt. After that, we get back to Celesteela, and we will now see if Drampa's Fire Blast is enough now. It's not. Are you kidding me? What am I supposed to do better? He manages to hit a second Fire Blast due to being locked into it with Choice Specs, but once again, we're only getting one shot at Arceus. It lands on ice this time. Instead of a Z move, I use Lava Plume, which ends up burning the legendary. I try to use this to move its HP down as low as possible before it decides to heal, and hope that Houndoom gets lucky and can hit weakness. However, it rolls Steel type early, so I send him in, but he can't push Arceus from yellow to 0. Arceus heals, it tears down everything until Mawile, and her Sucker Punch doesn't have the oomph I need. I want to give Drampa Overheat now so that it can kill Celesteela, but he's not allowed to learn it. Camerupt can, but he's holding the Z Crystal, and there's no way an Overheat from him outmatches a Drampa with a Choice Specs. I decide here to make a change in case I do manage to get 2 shots at Arceus with Trick Room. I put Icium Z on Vanillux since his Icy Rock is completely worthless, and he isn't doing anything else. That allows him to hit Flying, Grass, Ground, and Dragon. The same as Camerup's chances, but maybe a little bit stronger. But then, 4 more attempts fail at Slowbro, unable to do everything she needs to against Hydreigon. At this point, I think that all I need to do is hurt Hydreigon, and it will stay against Mawile. For that, I teach Slowbro Ice Beam instead to remove that luck factor. I can't do that. On the next attempt, she hits it with Ice Beam. But then, Hydreigon still switches with Celesteela. Why is less than 10% HP causing that? I have to put Blizzard back on and suffer against the need for better luck. The next attempt gets back to Celesteela, but it only confirms that Drampa's Fire Blast will not range high enough to kill it. What's worse is when his second Fire Blast misses, ending the attempt. There's no need for Fire Blast now. I instead teach Flamethrower, and will have to settle for 1 Trick Room turn left unless I get a lucky crit. Next attempt though makes me remember there's another check to pass. The one that pissed me off against Pulse Mime. Play Rough's Mischance. 15 losses now. 2 more fail at Hydreigon. But then, after burning up Celesteela with 2 Flamethrowers, we reach Arceus once again. Now Vanillux goes out to fight it. It rolls flying! Is the Clutch Master finally about to win this? Oh! The best hit we've had on Arceus, yet it only got him down 2/3 after its Life Orb damage. I try to go for Mawile Sucker Punch instead of Houndoom, but Lyn will have none of that, and Arceus moonlights. But then, Arceus rolls Dragon type. That means Judgment can't hit Mawile now. Arceus attacks with Dark Pulse, but she lives! And flinches. But then, once again, an opening may have presented itself. Arceus blasts down the rest of my team except Houndoom, rolling Bug type for Drampa, then staying on it. That means it'll be weak to fire! No! What does it take? I really don't know. At this point, a Z move doesn't get me far enough. It's going to require incredible luck. Next attempt, a missed Play Rough on Honchkrow leaves me with no Trick Room turn. But as I use up my team waiting for something weak to Houndoom's Dark Pulse, Arceus rolls Ghost. I go to Houndoom, and his Dark Pulse hits for actually great damage, but Arceus doesn't flinch. But then, he doesn't kill either! If only I could switch to Heat Wave for Bug-type Arceus! If only that Dark Pulse flinched! It would have been it! But this attempt does not go my way anymore. Hydreigon ruins 2 more attempts, then we try again. I decide to go for Mawile staying in again instead, but am rewarded with Ground type. Nothing I can hit. I dig and dig and dig, but Houndoom is faced with Fairy type. In defiance, I use Destiny Bond and prove that it would win this fight, but since Houndoom was my last Pokemon, that causes me to lose anyway. I won't win with Destiny Bond. I could have, but that's not the way I want this to end. After another loss to Slowbro flinching, I then decide I want to try it anyway. I put Overheat on Camerupt. I want to see if that can kill Celesteela. First though, Houndoom has to fail to kill Mismagius like that one other time and get 1 shot in return. Yeah, fuck you too. On attempt 25, luck lets me get through Mismagius and Hydreigon again, and now I will get to test Celesteela taking an Overheat. That was enough? Holy shit! I'm so annoyed I didn't do this sooner! With this, I can now get 2 turns of Trick Room attacks on Arceus. That may be the difference. Mawile takes out Honchkrow and Clefable yet again, and we get our best chance against Arceus. I decide to let Mawile attack first to hopefully burst Arceus down on the second turn. However, it goes Poison. I Sucker Punch, But then I realized, of course, that it couldn't use judgment on Mawile again, so she lived. And it stayed poison. Damn it all! I can do nothing but Sucker Punch again, but my 2 precious Trick Room turns are gone. This is no different than I've seen, but I go to Camerupt when it rolls grass. Arceus rubs light in its wounds to fully heal, but Overheat does do half. I think that maybe Camerupt could be useful again, so I switch him for Drampa, who then survives a Dark Pulse too. He doesn't survive a second one, but then... It is over! Finally, the stars and planets aligned. The type Arceus rolled was Steel, and Houndoom landed Heat Wave. And with that, the Pulse Arceus has finally been toppled. Lyn has been defeated. I went into this final battle thinking how funny it would be to say that all the other agent battles, the entire Elite Four, and both Lyn fights took less attempts than fucking Blake. But of course, clocking in at 25 attempts, it's only fitting that the final boss be this difficult. When you next get the chance to look at your team, they'll be fully healed, so you can't see how my last file's team looked after the clash with Arceus. However, I did save one more picture. The one when I felled the god. It was with Blastoise. And looking at this picture now, I realize why I thought a Z move would kill it like it did in my last file. It's because when Blastoise attacked Arceus with Hydro Vortex, Blastoise was in Torrent range. So his power was increased by 50% and he used it with Hydro Pump. With all of those factors, along with a lucky weakness, Blastoise had the means to defeat Arceus by himself. From my starter choice to the final battle. The final battle. Lyn's cold exterior seems not the least upset about this defeat, finally being overtaken after, as she says, brushing aside all others. But in the end, she has no other life to lead, having lost. And now is lost. She tells us to go. And then... Lyn's body, exploding, fulfilling the final monitor's prophecy, is suddenly overshadowed by a cackling laugh. At that moment, a voice begins to speak. It's apparent that this is a child's voice, as it mocks us for thinking we'd really won. The voice, one we have heard before, lampoons the conclusion we just witnessed, saying how boring of a villain Lyn was. They question what kind of villain lets me defeat her. They answer themselves, a villain who isn't through yet. The voice continues ridiculing us, making it clear that this was part of a plan. They go on to inform us that now we are stuck in the middle of this vast emptiness of space with no way back. They say as well that we can only breathe here because they allow oxygen to be in this world. This is when you might start to think this could be Arceus itself, speaking like a child. The voice threatens they could kill me by just removing the air, except they won't. They couldn't possibly throw away all the fun I give them. The voice reveals that now they can have much more fun, because they don't have to control that puppet anymore. Lyn, she was only a puppet? But that's when the context shifts. The voice says they made her to set themselves free after they got trapped here. Now that the new world has been created and joined to our world, this voice no longer wants to escape. They want to play with this new world now, without having to spout cryptic, edgy nonsense. What? This can't mean The voice, whose identity becomes clearer, says we were stupid to believe anything Lynn said, anything she said. She now tells us we should come find her, the real her, but she won't ever let me be ready to find her. Now, she causes me to lose consciousness, telling me we'll play later. The impossible truth has been revealed. This is the real Lynn. Then the credits play. And you might notice that they are tampered with. If you thought that this was the end of Reborn, sit back down in your chair. We've only just begun. We ended our fight against Meteor with this battle against Lynn in the new world. But this isn't the only time you'll battle in the new world. It's not even the first of a handful. No, this is going to be the site of some of the most despairing visions yet to come. Depth 7. Difficulty 10. The new world is my world now. Endgame is over. It's time for postgame.